I recently had a couch moved a grand distance of 2 miles from my sister's to my flat. The delivery guys, they were nice enough, right? But it wasn't the cheapest, and they were 2 hours late, meaning that I had to stay in and wait on them. And I'm a busy guy. If only I'd heard of Advanced Removals, which is a removal company based in Glasgow but operating throughout Scotland that are affordable, reliable, and also sponsor the podcast. Doesn't matter if it's a flitting, a furniture removal, or if even you're trying to save money on a funeral and you need a body shit. Advanced Removals don't shy away from a shift. If you want to get in touch with them, you can contact them by email at advancedremovalslimited@gmail.com or even phone them at 077 828 732 52. Advanced Removals. Thinking outside the box. Enjoy the podcast, people. Brian Hyslop, MMA fighter. Top guy, top G. It's good to have you in the patter poofy, my man.
Good to be here, bro.
Good to have you, mate. So as we're talking, I'll just go right back into what we're talking about rather than drifting away from it. Right. So see, you're talking about what you've noticed in your time that's the kind of the most aggressive of people, the people on the channel in it. How long did it take you to kind of realise that?
I've always been like channeling my energy out since I was like 4-year-old, basically. Mm-hmm. So I started doing karate at 4-year-old. My dad was a pro boxer, my granddad was a pro boxer. But I've noticed the people that are quite, how do I say this, that have that idiotic aggression, that unnecessary aggression, are all bams that don't fight or don't go to the gym or don't get that aggression out in a normal way. Like for instance, if you ever go on a night out and you're in a group of tennies, there's going to be one fucking idiot that's causing trouble, and not even funny, just a pure bam that thinks he can fight, aggressive, super aggressive, full of testosterone, fake testosterone. He's a guy that doesn't go to the gym. He's the guy that doesn't go and like get that sparring session out or get the weightlifting session out or something. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I've noticed that. That's maybe like 15, 16 when I started going out and noticing it. Because alcohol's involved, and alcohol's a great contributor to people being a fucking idiot. But the ones that I notice, the biggest idiots, are the ones that don't go to the gym, the ones that don't train, the ones that don't do any form of fucking challenge.
Mate, I never noticed how confident I was in my fighting ability until I started sparring. I think everybody's like that because you go and hit the bag, like, I could do Indy, man. I could probably go in with him and take him, man. You go in and spar, and it's just like, I say to people, like, if you're 100% is on the bag, you're lucky if you get 30% of that when you start sparring. You just go in and it's just a different level, and you don't need to be sparring anybody that's of a great pedigree, but it's getting in and realising, wait a minute, I don't know shit.
Well, bags don't hit back then, you know. No. But mate, see, sparring, like, think about it, I think I was saying this to you as well. In times that humans have been evolved, we've been through wars, we've been through violence, we've been through all this mad crazy stuff. Their DNA is filled with it. But now we live in like the Western society and it's cool. Glasgow is quite rough, but not really that rough, man. We stay in like a fucking nice society, and we don't get the opportunity to give that out. But see, when we do, I think we get to know ourselves and we get to fulfil that fucking, that manliness. I don't know, masculinity is a shit word, but that manliness that we've got inside us, you know.
So do you saying like kind of fighting helps you get to know yourself?
100%. How humbling is it to take a good shot off somebody, right? And you might find out that shot's no good enough for you. You don't want to do it again, but you might find out, do you know what? I'm quite a tough week on that. It's fucking just that. I can take that again. And then that compounds, because then you start going to like sparring sessions or fights or tournaments or professional contests or title fights, and that compounds up the way. Do you know what I mean? And it's how I know a lot about myself. I'm 5'4". I'm fucking a wee tiny cunt. Like, I'm probably the guy that people would usually make fun of in normal days. But because I can fight and because I know myself and I've been humbled, and I can also show how fucking tough I am, I'm one of the most confident cunts you'll ever meet in your life.
So see, when you say you started kind of your, if you want to go as far as back as your fighting career, so to speak, like at 4, you started with karate, and you talk about getting to know yourself. So at what point did you get to know yourself? What was the first hallmark of that?
You know, incremental parts of yourself, I think, throughout your life. You don't fully know yourself. Because the day at 38, for instance, a good example is I went to Mecca. I'm a Muslim, and I went to Mecca last week. I got to know myself a lot through that.
Right.
I don't know, do you know what I mean? I think we don't fully know all about ourselves until maybe we're on our deathbed and we can kind of react. But how do I know the base of myself? Since I would say maybe my early 20s, when I'd been after my first prison sentence and then started fighting, competing MMA professionally and winning titles and kind of doing quite well. I was like 23rd in the world and all that kind of stuff. And I spoke to you earlier about purpose. So I found out what my purpose was in life. Do you know what I mean? So, because I didn't know what I wanted to do for a long time. And then I know I liked fighting and I started fighting. And then, boom, I'm actually doing this fucking mad thing. I'm on the telly and all these kind of stuff. And a funny point on that is when I stopped fighting, I lost my purpose and ended up doing all the fucking rank stuff as well that I shouldn't have been doing. And now that I've regained it, I can safely say with conviction, that in my early 20s, when I found that for the first time, is when I found who I was.
Right, okay. It's strange as well. See, if you look at ourselves, you're never going to spend as much time on or with something as you are yourself. You're born into this body and you die in this body. But it's strange. We never really get to know or understand ourselves fully. And as you say, it's a lifelong task. But unless you're doing the uncomfortable stuff, because learning and growing is very uncomfortable.
Very. And you've done a wee bit of prison time, so I'll ask you, like, do you think it's a good thing that you get that isolation? Because you actually get to spend time with yourself. It is difficult, but it's actually quite a gift, I know. What do you think about that?
It surprised me to find out that a lot of people were uncomfortable in isolation. But see, with the likes of me, it's strange. When I was young, my ma she was very overprotective, so it wasn't until I was like kind of older than most Swains that I was allowed to go out and kind of start hanging about and that kind of thing. So I spent a fair bit of time in isolation when I was young, but it's no until looking back in retrospect I'm able to understand it. At the time, you feel hard done by. Prison, for me, I felt hard done by as such. But looking back, I was able to kind of understand myself and how I react to these situations, because when I was in these situations, I looked for an outlet. Where when I was young, I went and I played the computer. When I was in jail, I found the gym. That was probably my higher power, my purpose in those moments, because I'm like, right, I'm in the cell, but I'll get out and I'll go to the gym. If I didn't get to the gym, it was all up in the air.
Shite.
But I realised that, looking back in the instances that I've always found, and when I talk about other prison sentences, creativity played a large part. Like, it was writing tunes, or even my last sentence, I was writing skits and all that kind of thing. That was my escape, because for me, it helped me envisage a future that was on a more positive footing than the one I was currently in. For instance, if I was writing tunes for talk's sake, and I know I get slated online for my tunes, right? But at the time, my plan was, right, I'm going to write all these tunes, so when I get out, I can go and play gigs, I'm going to be better at it, etc. It's all leading towards a way out. Whereas I think, depending on your circumstances, if you're in prison, you might just think, I'm stuck here, I'm at a dead end. And I think that's where a lot of people implode.
No hope.
I
agree with that.
So see, when you were in jail, like, I think you said you were in Polmont when you were younger?
I was in Polmont when I was younger for a short sentence, like 6 months. And then I done 11 months in Spain out of like a 4-year sentence, but I'm out in licence. And the Spanish term was only, I've only been out for 9 months.
Really? So just recently?
Just recently.
Right, okay.
I've done a lot since then, it's been good. But what's the question, sorry, what you want to
So, see, when we're talking about in isolation, kind of finding yourself as such, when you look at your 2 prison sentences, one, what age are you now? 38, so almost 20 years ago was your time in Polmont, and your recent sentence was in Spain. See, I'll use the term coping mechanisms. Were they different from when you were 19 to your later years? What was mirrored?
Totally. At 19, it was just a shock to the system. I was depressed. Maybe first time I've kind of dealt with depression or something, because you're fucking missing your bird and missing your pals and that. I can't really take a lot for that time. It was just a small time. I went in, done it, came out, and it wasn't serious, you know what I mean? But luckily when I came out of that sentence, my lawyer introduced me to MMA, and I ended up becoming an MMA.
Your lawyer introduced you to MMA?
My lawyer introduced me to MMA.
You're
the lawyer
joking?
was like a family friend who had boxed way before.
Right, okay.
And he's like, well, he must have cared for me, and he's went, by the way, there's this sport, I think you'd do well at it. And I did. Funny enough.
That's mental. So what kind of stuff were you doing up until the age of 19? Because as you say, you were introduced at karate at 4. And when did you start boxing? Because your dad and your granddad were boxers?
I done karate at 4, 5, 6, then Jeet Kune Do at 7, 8. And then I fucking hate football, mate. I never ever played football. I hate it. So,
Same.
aye,
I was terrible at it. I liked football, but I was just crap at it, man.
was never into it, never supported or anything like that. I still like games, but never really in it. And then at 14, I went, I'm going to box. My dad's always kind of put me off boxing. He never really wanted me to box.
Why?
I don't know if I've said this a few times. I think maybe just as a parent, don't want me to get injured.
The head trauma type stuff. I hear that for a lot of people that are fighters who don't want their wins to follow suit because of the blows to the head.
And I thought he's put it in my head that I'm going to get. But I don't actually think I've got punch drunk. I'm sharp for a guy at 38.
I've met people I would class as punch drunk, and you seem to remember the conversation we had half an hour ago. That's usually a hallmark.
There you go. But he kind of put me off it anyway. So, and then I wasn't a brilliant boxer, mate. I'm not going to lie. I had a few fights and that, but I wanted to steam in and have a go. And boxing isn't really like that. Boxing's more an art. And I love boxing in martial art, in mixed martial arts. And then, anyway, my lawyer introduced me to fucking MMA, and I was like, fuck, I can have a go here. I can actually steam into people and that. So I've done well with that. MMA for me is like more suited to my ability.
Right, I just because you've got quite, for what I seen in your last fight, quite an aggressive fighting style.
Aye. And that's me at 38, like fucking after 6 years out, and then out of the space of 10 years I had one fight basically. I wasn't really acting purposely, I wasn't really training full time, and this is me back doing it now. But I don't know, is my style the same as what it would have been at 24? I don't really know, mate. I can't really remember.
Right, but I seen you posted a video though, you were really young in it, and I seen it wasn't so much your fight. What was your fighting style? But it was also, I think it was the face off, and you looked as if you were going to walk through the guy.
Walk through after the
What age were you in that? Was that your first fight?
22, 23 or
so
something.
You looked quite aggressive. I would say if I was to like categorise you in any sense, I would say that looked quite aggressive because you're right in the guy's face, and then I think you flattened him. Alright.
I'm super aggressive, mate.
Where does that come from?
Maybe getting stabbed.
When did you get stabbed?
Stabbed at 17 and 18 or 16, 17, with a year with part of each other. And I was quite a quiet weekend before that. So first one I was in a chip shop. I battered a guy, I was kind of giving it to a guy, and he fucking put a blade out and stabbed me a few times in the side. It wasn't a serious one. And then another one, we were kind of, me and my pals were fighting this other wee gang in the town, and we were going to Archaeos. So I'd never drunk in the town, I was all sober, but I had a drink this time, funny enough. And these cunts have ended up chasing us. There was 15 of them, 5 of us. And 3 of the guys I was away fucked off, went to Archaeos. And one guy who's kind of stuck by me, he get knocked out. So I'm kind of helping him, and I've turned around, and 15 of them landed in me. Stabbed fuck at me, held my hand behind my back, slashed me. I nearly died, mate. I was in hospital for a month.
Really?
I nearly died. So that gave me a wee bit of that trauma gave me a wee bit of recklessness and super aggression, man. Because I just thought, fuck. I used to actually think to myself in hospital, fuck him, they're doing this to me again. You know what I mean? Like, I don't ever want to be in that situation, but fuck ever allowing them to do that to me as well. You know what I mean?
So almost making you feel helpless in that sense.
Maybe insecure at that given time, that I need to always kind of secure myself. Do you know what I mean? I felt like no embarrassment, just sadness and insecurity that I get through that situation, and I always need to protect myself.
Well, you think if we talk about it as a trauma response, because that's quite a traumatising thing, getting stabbed once, never mind multiple times, and in the space of a year apart. So there's a lot of people that can go one of two ways. As it likes yourself, it led you into did it lead you into fighting, like training?
No,
some
I was
people might
fighting.
end up deciding, no, what, I'm not going out unarmed, I'm carrying a blade, and then they become the aggressor.
Oh, sorry,
so
I
that's
don't know
the kind
that.
of other avenue. But where did that lead you? What actions did you take as a result of that?
I carry a blade.
Oh, so did you start carrying a blade?
Aye, but stupidly, not using it, take it and use it all the time, but just thinking it was a security thing or something.
Aye. Comfort blanket in it.
Aye, stupid, really stupid. But see, to be honest with you, everybody kind of done it at that time. I remember it was like 2004 or something like that. It was quite high. There was a lot of murders around about the East End and that. I remember it was quite a high thing. Knife violence was quite rampant.
So was gang violence as well.
At that
schemes
time,
and that, you know, being able to walk into an area with a trachea and that
exactly.
kind of.
But no, that's decimated. It's dissipated in Scotland, is it not? Or has it?
It's not what it used to be.
Right.
There's still pockets here and there, I think. Because me personally, this is my own opinion on it. See, when you look at the likes of London culture, especially down in England, you've got a lot of gang violence and it's echoed in their music. And music is quite popular, especially like up in here. A lot of people listening to like drill music and that kind of thing when they're talking about like gang violence, stabbings and all that kind of stuff. So I think there's certain incidents that are a reflection of what people are listening to, but the way it was before, where I use the term gangs loosely because when you were in that world, it wasn't a gang, it was just all your pals, and it was just another group of people that you hated for no apparent reason until stuff started happening. But back then it was a constant thing, whereas I think it's more, it's kind of sparsely, it's kind of spaced out.
Concentrated, it's maybe concentrated through the music and people actually try to be gangsters or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's people, they're trying to kind of create a reflection of this life, because you hear a lot of people talking in their raps about, like in England, about stuff that they've probably never done. So I think a lot of people are trying to give a bit of solidify their reputation. It's just like anything. It's like when you were younger, you were carrying a blade like that, right? I've got a blade, or you'll never use that blade. Like, I will use that blade. Suddenly you've got motivation to stab somebody. You've not got anybody you want to stab, but the first instance you're going to use that. I was the same, mate. I get stabbed when I was like 15. It wasn't, I get stabbed 3 times in the arm. It wasn't bad, but I was never a fighter, I was never an aggressor, I was never nothing, and I was more relieved that the person that done it didn't want to hurt me anymore. After it, I was just kind of glad to be away from it. But I eventually started carrying a knife, and it was for that peer acceptance, because I was insecure in my own self, where if I was in a position, I didn't rely on myself to be able to hand myself in a fight. So if I had a knife, suddenly that gave me that extra ounce of respect. But then there's that trade-off thing. It's like, I think the majority of people carry a blade, don't plan on using it. And the majority of they people is the ones you meet in jail that are in for stabbing people in the leg and they've killed them.
But they people, you said, are the ones, they don't go to a gym and test themselves in combat. It goes back to my original point. Mm-hmm. They don't have capability in combat by going to a gym and fucking sparring somebody. Because you might think to yourself, I don't need that blade, I can just lamp this cunt right on. Or wrestle. Like, since I learned how to wrestle, I've lamped a few people outside, but since I learned how to wrestle, like, I kind of subdue people now. Like, I just like kind of half grapple and put them down. One, I know it's not going to get me into trouble. Like, if the busies came or something, I'm just like, oh, I held that cunt down. You know what I mean? He's trying to hit me. Or two, I'm not going to punch a guy and put him out in the street and he might die. You know what I mean? So I've been a wee bit aware of that. So that's my capability in combat, because I practice that every day, and I know that if there is an aggressive situation, I can easily deal with that with my fucking hands and legs, taking somebody down.
Because that's what we were talking about earlier. See, like a good method that could probably reduce violence is by teaching young people how to fight. Because a lot of times when you go into a gym, you learn to fight so you don't need to fight, and then you're having that confidence in that situation where, as we say, it's a bad world out there. You know, there's a lot of predators out there, there's a lot of unpredictability, and with the confidence to be able to handle yourself in a situation, as you say, being able to fight is one thing, that's one element of it, but as you say, if you're lifting your 2 hands and somebody pulls out a blade, there's a very good chance you're going to get hurt. But as you say, if you're able to subdue them, then you've probably got a better chance of no being hurt. But as I say, it's still an unpredictable situation.
If you can, the way I see it was, if you understand striking or any form of combat and somebody does pull out a blade, you might have awareness to it getting pulled out quicker, and you might run away quicker, because you should just fucking run away if you can get away. You know what I mean? But if you're half daft and you're a bit no switched on, because you're switched on to combat. If you go to a boxing gym, you're switched on to an assault. If somebody tried to assault you, and if somebody did pull out a knife, you'd be like, oh, wait a minute, what's happening here? Boom. I can see his body language a bit different. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, you're used to it. Then get away.
Aye. You can become more hyper intuitive to the kind of situation. Plus, I was listening to that audiobook they talk about, it's almost like margins. And it's like these circular margins for the likes of somebody that's inexperienced might have like a target area that's this quite wide circle. But the more you train, the more you condition yourself, that circle becomes more narrow and narrow, and suddenly your target area becomes more direct. So the likes of, if you're put in a situation like that, you could I could just smack him right in the chin and he'll go out. It may slightly happen, but as I say, at the end of the day, you're not setting out to go at it. There is a school of thought by some people. There's some small-minded, big egotistical people that you've probably met that will go to a gym and go, oh, Billy Big Boys. See, if you go to, I used to work in the hydro, and we would do cleaning, so you'd clean up after a gig as such, and you would start at like 9 o'clock, so the gig would finish at 10.
see when you went in, when it was the boxing finishing, it was all pure big chesty bams, man, all looking for a fight, because it was the rowdiest, that and the darts, but people...
The darts.
Aye, the darts, the darts was a riot, man. The darts and the boxing was the messiest, mate. You would go round. So we'd clean the arena. So you'd clean round all the seats, you'd make bags of gear, and find a lot of booze and all that, man. It was like, honestly, I think people were just launching pints at each other. It was a riot. By the boxing would be the one that's, you would start and you'd be like, right, if anybody says anything here, it's on, kind of thing.
Mate, I'm teetotal, right? And I'm actually against drinking drugs, but I hate drink consumption at a boxing show. I just think it doesn't mix.
Nah.
I was at a boxing show recently. I was coaching, cornering a few fighters. Great show. Then halfway through the night, there's a fight. Then at night, the end of the fight, there's a big, massive fight. And it's all bams that haven't get the boys to get in a fucking gym and try it themselves. They have a few drinks and go, I could do this, I could do that. Then they want to go and hit some fucking random guy.
I'd do him, man.
Aye, that's some guy that's sitting with his bird that's fucking pregnant or something. Like, fuck up.
The guy's like, no, man, I'm not want to me whack. It's like, right, who's the least threat in here that I can pick on?
Exactly.
Because that's the thing about, I like to see your sparring. It's one thing, I could go outside and get in a fight, it'll be undone in probably a minute, and that's if it's a long fight, and then it's split up in a way. See the thing with sparring, see like, right, you're sparring tomorrow, you're driving down to the gym, I'm sparring with this guy, go in, it's some big 19-year-old meat eater that's like 6'3" and like 18 stone, it's going to a pure warehouse, it's going to batter you, and you're like, ah, right, and you're getting into, it's that kind of, it's getting into that environment, right? It's not just a mad scrap, it's kind of like a controlled thing where you understand, for the likes of me, my expertise and knowledge is quite limited, so, and then it's come back and doing that repeatedly, that takes a lot more balls than just when you're full of the devil's dandruff and the bad man's ginger, and you start scrapping with somebody at a boxing show and you're full of it.
I've got no respect for people who do that, mate. I honestly see these bams that want to fight at a boxing show. See, I'm short cauliflower ears, right? So everybody that looks at me, they know I'm not a rugby player because I'm too wee to play rugby. They know I'm an MMA fighter. Mate, all my life, I've just had bams coming up to me and saying, aye, mate, I used to fight and all that. Oh, did you? Aye, I was like battered a guy in first year and that.
But being serious and they try to be funny.
No, that's what because they want to tell you about the war stories.
Right, it's if we're the same kind of thing.
But their only war stories is batting a guy in fucking first year, do you know what I mean?
And you probably get dude, I know.
Of course. And then they're 2 in the morning full of gear, want to tell you this, about how they get away from certain punches and that. And I'm just like, going to get me out of here, man.
You need to use your jab, man. I've been watching you, mate. You're too reckless, man. You need to be calm.
Many fights you had.
See, mind if I ask, see with the cauliflower ears, does that affect your hearing?
What's that?
Does that affect your hearing?
What? No, it doesn't at all.
Does it no? I always wonder that, because what is it that causes it?
Between, I think there's like skin, and between the skin blood can fill up, right? So it fills up in this wee ball, and obviously you have to drain it, but you're meant to drain it and leave it for 4 weeks. But if you're going through a fight camp, you're not going to leave it, you need to train. So I've taped my ears a few times, didn't work. All these mad cut pings didn't work, and then they just started going cauliflower, and I was like, fuck it, and that one went.
Right, okay.
I think one of them was a kick. That one was a kick.
A kick?
Somebody booted my ear and it just went.
Right, so is it kind of, obviously it's very different, but the only thing I can compare it to, like seeing you get slapped in the side of your ear and it's like pure stinging, ringing way.
It's like trauma. See, like if your arm, you can fill with a sack of blood. It's kind of like that. You ever had that? You bang your elbow with a sack of blood?
Man, I've had that before.
That's what it is. But because it doesn't go away, see my ears, mate, they're absolutely solid.
I've heard that. Do people not cut them open and drain them?
Well, I've tried.
I like afterwards.
After plastic surgery. I don't know, but I would never do that. I enjoy them, mate. I like them.
Probably end up doing it, making it look worse. Because then if you cut it out and it starts hanging down, man, you end up looking like Dumbo or something.
Aye, fuck that. I wouldn't want to change it because it's a story. It's part of me. It's like free tattoo in it. It's who I am.
It goes back to that thing. It's like it's what I was saying earlier. Like the old analogy of the Glaswegian Ned be sitting in A&E asking him to make the scar bigger. So it's like me thinking like if you went to jail, you're a hard man. It's like
after the gym, I'm fucking making him worse.
Oh mate, I went to, this is how bad. So I done boxing when I was like 15, right? And this was my boxing story. I watched Rocky 4 and I was like, I'm going to do boxing. We went to the gym. And I'm tall, right? So, and back then I still probably don't do as much now, but I just never listened to Andy. They'd be like, right, you need to stun, use your reach, use your jab. But I'd be watching like old Mike Tyson videos, and because he's a small heavyweight, he's ducking under that, and he looks dynamite. So I start trying to do that against guys that like 5'8", and they're just punching heat off us. But I remember thinking, if we know it's CTE and that now, but if you were punch drunk, then that was the mark of you were a boxer. It was like that thing. So I would purposely let people punch me in the face because I wanted to leave the gym with my head ringing, and I'm like, I thank God I patched it after that, because I remember looking back like that, mate. I used to think to myself, I wonder where it'd be if I stuck to the boxing. I'd probably a cabbage, man.
You'd be fucked.
I know.
I know a few people who've got that, mate. It's a shame. Like,
But the
close
CTE,
people,
have they?
I would call it punch drunkenness, but it's obviously the same thing, innit? Dementia pugilistica. And a lot of people close to me, and it's a fucking sin, man. I think that's how my dad was always against us, me and my brothers, no fighting. Do you know what I mean? But then again, well, it's part of us. My dad, my granddad, my fucking cousin, my other cousin's a right top amateur fighter. My brother fights. Everybody fights in my family, mate.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? So I'm not going to know that.
Aye,
you know what I
it's
mean?
in your blood, it's in your
It's in my
DNA, man. It's strange as well. I can understand your dad's his view of, getting hit in the head, but also was there no part in it recognise, as you talk about the benefits of it, how well it can actually serve you in your life?
They'd never admit it, but that's my argument. Like, there's so much more benefits. I'll go into, like, obviously I was in prison after like 6 years of being a fucking absolute idiot. You know what I mean? Absolute idiot. An idiot to go into prison, right? And since I came out, I've only been out for 9 months. Somehow the training I done in prison, I thought to myself, I'm going to fight again. Do you know what I mean? And I'm 38-year-old, I'm not a young guy, but I was training like an absolute psycho. I was training like a psycho. I was in a Spanish jail. I had the key. I was a gym pass man, basically.
Right, okay.
And in the Spanish nick, it's no 23 dubs up. You're out all day.
Right.
So I was training 3 times a day, every single day. I done Ramadan, trained every single day, 3 times a day. It was like the best I've ever gotten, right? And now I'm back right exactly where I wanted to be before I stopped being an idiot, before I started being an idiot. I'm fighting in top shows, I'm fighting all over the world. So fighting for me is a purposeful thing. It's a purposeful thing for me.
That's interesting, because see, you talk about when you got to Polmont, you were introduced to MMA, and for you that was you kind of like discovering your purpose as such. What happened in between that took you away from it?
It's a weird one, that. Like, my daughter was born when I was 26, and MMA was nearly pulling in a lot of money, and I get a wee bit scared as a fuck. I need to make money for my kid here, you know what I mean? I set up a business, set up a legitimate business, a Beltria business, logistics company, moving cars about and that. Then I started like selling cars, and then my other daughter was born, and fucking it wasn't pulling in enough money, and I thought, right, I need to start hustling. So I started doing like illicit activities to make money, which is easily done in Glasgow.
Definitely.
A lot of people do it, and then that led me down a bigger rabbit hole to fucking having a lot of money in my pocket, travelling the world, fucking staying in all these mad places, and then boom, my ego got the grip of me, and the devil fucking got a hold of me, and I ended up in jail.
So how did you end up in Spain?
So I've always moved back and forth to Spain, like travelling and that. My wee brother was living in Ibiza. I've got mates set up in Ibiza and that. I was going visiting them, and then when I went to see one of them, I was like, fuck it, I like it here. But before that, I'd went to Portugal on holiday, and I went, no, I really, really want to stay in Portugal, but it's hard to stay there. So I kind of figured out ways to like make a living there or whatever. And then I got into trouble in Scotland during COVID. That kind of thing happened, and a lot of people got into trouble. So I got into trouble, and I fucked off and travelled to Spain. And I travelled around certain wee bits of Spain. I was in Barcelona for a bit, Malaga for a bit, Lisbon, Portugal for a bit, and then I ended up in Algarve for a bit and just fell in love with it, mate. Right. And it's very easy to make money in Spain, because Spain's like the criminal fucking central point of Europe. It's fucking so easy to make money there. And I just get wrapped up with some stuff and get into trouble eventually.
Right, so see, in the lead up to you eventually being arrested for what you went to jail for, was there any part of you that kind of wanted to hit the ejector seat, or were you kind of loving life, so to speak, or was that part of you like that, right? Did it not feel right at any time?
Funny enough, before I go to jail, like a year or so, I ended up losing a lot of money, and I ended up just kind of no doing crime, right? I started doing like coaching and all that, and it was good. I'm part of this kind of online organisation called the War Room. It's Andrew Tate's kind of group, and I learned a lot of stuff through all them, how to do marketing, how to like network, but I wasn't in a good place because I'd lost all this money. I was fucking depressed because I'd lost all sorts of money, right? And so I ended up kind of staying in Marbella, and my wife was staying in Portugal, my family, and I'm doing PTs. I'm just doing straight PTs and that. And then an opportunity came and fucking something that I'd experienced or whatever to get me out. Because I was hating my bear. I wanted to go back to Portugal and get a wee bit of money in my
Why
pocket.
did you hate it?
Because my family's in Portugal and I'm my bear. And I hate it.
How could you not move back with them?
Because I was making money in my bear with the coaching.
Right, so if you left that, then it would have put you in a better position financially.
No way to making money, and I stopped kind of doing crime at this point.
Right, okay.
And then,
so you were trying to go clean at that
aye,
point?
no, 100% try to go good. And then, fuck it, the devil got hold of me, went, listen, this opportunity, you gotta go. And then, boom, get in the nick that day.
That day?
Months. So whatever I was doing, I got caught.
Right, okay.
There was no bail, you're right in that day.
How did it feel got to jail there?
I mean, you're daunting because you're like, fuck, I'm trying to make money and I'm fucking in jail. And then you're in the induction wing in Ingreso. I'm sitting with all these fucking Spanish gypsies and that. And I can speak fluent Spanish, so I'm doing alright, you know what I mean? And there was a wee old Arabic guy, a wee guy from Algeria, the old guy, Alki guy, and they were kind of making fun of him and that. And something made me think about Islam, right? Something made me think about Islam because I'd been drinking and taking Charlie and that for... I just was lost, you know what I mean? I kind of fell away from... I believed in Islam for the day when I started it, but I kind of stopped away from the practice because the practice is hard. So I started speaking to this wee guy and I says, mate, can you tell me some more Arabic prayers and that? And like, I just thought, I'm here, I need to do something. And he was telling me all these wee prayers and I started to lift my spirits and my faith a wee bit. And then when I left that induction wing, I went to this like, international wing. So there's not really much Spanish, only a few Spanish. Walked in, there's this big Polish cunt, 6'6", obviously a big tattooed fucking rider, fucking fighter guy. And then other cunts are all walking about and I'm like, whoa, this is heavy, mate. I'm thinking, like, I need to get tooled up, this is mad. I've sat down after 5 minutes and all I heard was, Hissy, what the fuck are you doing here? A cunt from Glasgow. A guy Anton Connell, I'm going to give him a shout out. Him and his pal were in my bear the same wing as us. And I was like, oh, fuck, man, cunts I know, you know what I mean? And I'd only met Anton once, and I'd met his pal, I'd spoke to his pal once, waved to him and that, nice guys. And that was good, because I'd mates in, you know what I mean? Because you're in Spain, and like, you don't know the fuck's happening.
Aye.
And then kind of hanging about with Scouser boys and that. And it was good, mate. It was fantastic. Then, because I was a Muslim, I started praying in the fucking front of the yard, in front of every cunt. I didn't really care about it, because I found my faith, and I wasn't embarrassed about it. And I ended up getting parted with a lot of Arabs and that. And it's funny because there's a big straight divide, mate. There was like Arabs and there was every cunt else.
Really?
Aye, they didn't like each other because they all bumped each other and fought and all that. But I ended up like, hanging about with everybody. I was like a mad glue, I swear to God, everybody loved me in the jail. And I ended up getting them up alley, so we were all playing football together and then
right,
ended
okay.
up, it was mad. For them? Aye, mate, it was class. And there was a few people get bullied in the jail because I hate bullies. A few cunts get bullied in the jail and I had to kind of get a few slaps out and batter a few people and that, but I get more respect for that. Even the screws were pretty alright with us and all. Like, I stopped a few daft cunts doing daft things and they kind of respected that and all. You
right,
know
okay. Is it as bad as they tell you it is in Spanish jails?
No, it's actually better than Scottish jails because you're out all the time. I think that been dubbed up. When I was in Polmont, I was dubbed up 23 years a day.
No, that's just mental torture. That.
Is it still like that now?
Aye, it's still like that in Ballini as well.
That's,
I don't really know what Polmont's like, but as far as I'm aware, it's still the same.
In Spain, you're out, up at 8 in the morning, you're out to about 1 in the afternoon, and then at about 4, you're in your cell for a wee siesta, and then 4 to like 8, you're out again. Gyms are open. Barbers there, it's kind of mad. Like, but obviously this is remand and all, so I don't really know if it's different in the sentence halls. But it was easy going, man, in the sun, fucking, right. And you get conjugal visits, so my wife could come up and fucking get a wee shot of my wife. In a wee hotel room, it was pure awkward as fuck.
Hotel room? What looks like a hotel room in the jail?
Like mad travelling, kind of travel lodge kind of thing.
In the jail?
Aye, one night at the Ritz, man. And I'm pure awkward, so I've not seen my wife in like fucking 3 months.
What, I feel virgin again?
Aye. Gone in 2 seconds. But it was good. And then, bro, because my case was like, I went to this kind of therapy thing to help me get out. And I went for like a hall with 200 criminals, 200 men, like high level criminals, to a hall with 50 criminals, with 15 women. Aye, so there's birds in the wingways.
But doing their sentences?
Aye.
Really?
So you're just walking about the yard birds are braiding cunts' hair.
Aye, right.
It's very good.
Is there any pumping going on?
Aye, I never done it.
But the other people.
But I had a wee pal who was shagging a ex-brass in the gym
Aye, right.
every day.
In the gym?
It's very good. They were shutting the door, obviously, it was cameraed up, and she would just kid on, she's like doing stretches with him or something, and she just obviously
She's getting something else stretched. Aye, right. That's mental.
Mad, isn't it?
That's crazy.
Spain's backward, mate. Spain's a backward place, man. Oh, maybe actually
Say
progressive.
backward, mate.
Maybe progressive.
I'd probably some of that into Berlin. You'd probably see, well, I'd see a few people going back to get a ride, man. That'd be mental.
So see, you're kind of wanting to regenerate the prison system or whatever it is. We'll talk about that a wee bit. One of the first points I'll say is, I think the conjugal visits would really, really make it better. Like, after that happened, I just felt good again. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Because I get to see my wife and get a wee cuddle with her for an hour and a half, and that's a fucking powerful thing, especially if somebody's doing 20 odd year. Mm-hmm. They could be doing with that in Scotland. I think that's how people are all balmy, full of drugs, full of fighting and that. They're not getting at least a wee access for that.
But the thing is as well, and then does that not kind of open up the scope for stuff to get brought into the jail too? The drugs as such?
It does, but they need fucking heavy searches, don't they? They need to go through heavy searches, I'd imagine.
I take it you're going in the room with her and you're left in the room and then you come back out. What? There's no screws in there?
There's no screws in the room, obviously.
No, that'd be end up some Pornhub type stuff.
No, Spanish Jose watching me.
No, the reason why I ask is you think is prisoners are ingenious. It wouldn't stop anybody sticking up something up the back end.
I think probably that was even going on in Spain.
I know, definitely. There's a way for people.
But I just think for some poor cunt that's doing 20 odd year, he could be doing with seeing his wife, you know what I mean? I don't know. It was good for me.
Definitely, because that way as well, I don't know what it's like. I've never been in like the cons LTPs, but you'd have probably saw it in the Spanish jails. So you said you were in remand. I take it you eventually went into sentenced?
No, I get out on licence instead of getting back in for the sentence, if you know what I mean.
Really? So did you serve your sentence on remand essentially?
So no, not a full sentence, but see in Spain, it's a Roman system.
Right.
It's old Roman times, and unlike the UK, where you're innocent until proven guilty, you're guilty until proven innocent in Spain. Okay. So they just pop you in. Do you know what I mean? Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
You're essentially in the jail, even if you've...
Tell you a good story for it. There was a wee guy. It was a shame, man. He was a gardener. And fucking, he went to get paid off his boss in a restaurant. So the bosses fucking met him in a restaurant, had a 2-minute conversation, paid him his money, and then the boss is fucking under investigation. So we gardeners fucked off, back to his house, went to see his wife and that. Boom, jailed, 6 months. Just for being a gardener. But obviously, they think he's part of the fucking criminal organisation.
Right, okay.
Because you're guilty until proven innocent.
Right, okay, so he's just been flung into jail.
No evidence, boom. We'll just deal with him, we'll gather evidence right away. But obviously, you get let out.
And you get 6 months? 6 months.
Well, he was in for 6 months.
So I suppose it does, if it benefits you, I suppose, if you're guilty.
If you're guilty.
If you're guilty and you're going to get to jail anyway, let's get that time, man.
There was guys getting caught with a warehouse with 700 kilo. I'm an Italian guy, right? A warehouse with 700 kilo of cocaine in his name or whatever, and he get fucking let out in bail and fucked off. He fucked off with Spain.
What?
Aye.
How does that work?
I don't know, bro. There's a guy we boat with Hunters, a Charlie, done like 2 or 3 years, and then get extradited back to the UK with no criminal. He's just out and free.
You actually papped out the country.
Papped out the country and off you go. But then again, I seen some poor cunts getting fucking 6 years for daft hash cases and all that, you know what I mean?
You wonder though, do you think money comes into it?
No, I just don't think they've got their shit together, the Spanish. Just don't think they have their shit together, do you know what I mean? It wasn't a very organised place, you know what I mean? But I love Spain. I hate Spain now, but I love it as quite a passionate, just kind of easy place, you know what I mean? So maybe that transfers into the system.
It's probably good if you don't go to the jail. Is it, so long did you end up serving?
11 months.
11 months. So what did you get sentenced to?
So it's like 4 years. I've got a 4.5 year, what is it? What is the thing? License? 4.5 year license. So if I go to Spain and get into trouble, I'm right back in, then whatever sentence I get for that, plus the 4.5. Do you know what I mean? So I'm in license basically. But I done the remand of that 11 months.
Right, okay. Right, I see. That's strange how they work that out. But I suppose you'd rather 11 month and do the 2 year or the 4 year, which is the full whack of that,
I think there was another wee thing that I got, a kind of therapy thing.
So what is the therapy thing?
So I'm like under therapy now. I don't know if it's, I'm doing therapy in Spain now, basically.
Right, okay.
You know what I mean? I'm going through therapy.
Right.
That allows me to be out.
Right, okay, good stuff. So that's interesting then, essentially. So is that a part of thing where you need to be undergoing therapy? I'm not trying to get you to go into it too deep, but is that related to the crime you're done with?
Obviously, so the crime, and then you say you're whatever, and then the therapy thing is like your first sentence. You can get therapy or something, basically. I don't know.
Right.
It's like a mad con, mate. It's just to get money. The full thing's just to get money, mate. I think when a British, what they were telling me is when a British citizen goes in, the British government pay the Spanish government money, like fucking grands upon grands.
Did they?
Aye, to like look after, to like provide for this guy, and like £300 a day or something like that. I don't know.
Aye, right.
Over the course of 6 months,
Right,
right?
okay.
But they don't spend that on you. Mate, the food in there was dog shit.
Like I was going to say, you didn't get any different treatment, did you?
And even this is even a worse one, right? See, in Scotland, you get water, you get toilet roll. You do not get fuck all in there. You do not get nothing. You don't get water. You don't get bleach. You don't get toilet roll. You don't get nothing. You get nothing. You get your food, and that's it. And the food's absolutely terrible. So if you haven't got any dough on you, you're fucked.
Right, okay.
You drink your tap water. Tap water tastes like shit.
It's not bad for you. Spanish
Aye.
tap water, innit?
Aye, but this is jail's tap that smells like shit. It's coming for the fucking sewers at the
Is
tap.
it? Aye.
And cunts are poor Moroccan cunts are drinking it and all that.
Oh, that man, that's sick.
Horrible. I had to drink a fucking few cups of it myself. I'd no money at some point. But aye. Mad situation. But see, to be honest with you, bro, a whole thing of that story, and it's quite mad to elaborate it. It was good for me in the sense that it did follow me. It did allow me to like, get the isolation myself.
And reflect.
Aye, that's perfect. And then all the training I done, and then just brought me right back to Islam. I think honestly, I'm pure into God, and I'm pure into like everything happens for a reason. I think that whole 11 months was to draw me closer to God.
Aye, because that's the thing as well. As much when I talk about growth and that being painful, we always look for growth as such, and we want it to be this enlightening, beautiful experience, and it is. But it's after the uphill climb you've just had today. When you get to the top of a mountain, it's great when you get up to the top and see the view, but it's the 4 hours before it is where the true growth is.
Needs to be worth it.
And in life, essentially, that's what I talk about. A lot of these things are understood in retrospect. It's not until you look back and go, wait a minute, I wouldn't be here if that hadn't happened. And at the time, it's usually one of the most horrible experiences of your life, but it can shape you. That's what they say, is that it's been planted. Flowers are planted. They're in the dirt. They're in the soil, and then they sprout.
That's nice. I like that. Aye, I can imagine you've had many situations like that then, and each one's been a growing part of your life.
Definitely.
Aye, prison was like that for me. But I think you said earlier on about the poor people that go in there and they just don't have any form of a creative outlet. They don't play the guitar and they don't write music and stuff like that. I wrote a few books in there. I read a lot of books and I wrote a few books and I wrote like kind of projections of what I wanted to do. Prayers and projections. So I said I'm going to go on social media. I says I'm going to fight. I says I'm going to go to Mecca. I says I'm going to do a coaching program. I've done all the things already in the space of 9 months, which has been pretty cool. I said I'm going to do some things like my family that I've done, but I've not done them in certain areas in the world. But it's still working out for me. Do you know what I mean? I always thought I was going to go back to Portugal, but there's a reason I'm back in Scotland and I'm loving it. I'm loving it in Scotland, mate, to be honest with you.
It's all a process as well. As you say, it's like it's essentially affirmations in it and like kind of visualisation and writing it down and taking notes. Because it's not going to happen overnight, essentially, you know what I mean? You might find a period in your life where it does return you back to Portugal and overseas as such, but it's sort of a process. I feel as if the reason you've landed back in Scotland for a reason.
I'd say so, mate, aye. I'd say so. Maybe the fighting, because the fighting training in Scotland is better than anywhere I've been in the world.
Is it?
For me, for Portugal and Spain, aye.
Right, in comparison.
Maybe Dubai as well. I was living in Dubai for a wee bit. Like, it's not really like... I grew up in fighting in Scotland. I've got fucking access to the best gyms in Scotland. I train with the best fighters in Scotland every day. I go to all different gyms and that, which isn't really widely accepted. I'm a wee bit of a gym hoard, but I train everywhere. So obviously I wouldn't be fighting in all these fucking big shows if it wasn't for me being back in Scotland, and I wouldn't be back in Scotland if it wasn't for me getting to jail.
It's funny how it all works out. But as I say, I remember you probably use a different definition for it, but I remember in recovery somebody says it was one of the words of wisdom. You know, you hear the words of wisdom, you forget who said it, but it's not really important who said it, it's just what they said. And they said a coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous. And that always stuck with me.
That's lovely.
And no, I don't believe in coincidences. See, if I see a coincidence, I investigate it. I go, right, that's popped up like twice in the space of a day. I'm going to look into that, see if there's something to it. It's following your intuition. See, I was surprised when you say about Scotland like having some of the best what kind of boxing and fighting to offer and what you've experienced. Do you think there's like a part of being Scottish where it's more difficult to excel in that area, where it's the culture, that national, like Andy Murray syndrome, where everybody's trying to put you down and all that until you're actually doing really well, and then they're just ready to pull the carpet from under your feet again? And it's that thing as well. It's not been accepted worldwide because as a small nation we're giving so much to the world, but we're almost no seen in an even level as the rest of the world, I think.
Aye, well, I can see you support.
Oh yeah,
Scotland.
I love the Scottish.
I can see you're a Scottish boy, so I'll say this in depth, right? We've got a small population, 5.5 million people. We're not really classed as a country. You go and look at an encyclopedia, there's not really a country. UK is a country. I don't call myself British. I don't think I'm British. I'm Scottish.
Same.
So there's a wee bit of stamping on our pride right away. And that maybe generates through why people don't celebrate Andy Murray, because we've got that wee bit of hatred for something in our lives, you know what I mean? The reason I think Scottish fighters are good fighters, we're a martial race. We've got fighting in our DNA. We had to fight to survive, that's what we've done. And when we're talking about gangs, right, the gangs in certain areas, that's evolved for a clan system that we had. So we were all part of clans, and the clans fought with other clans, and that's just spread down a wee bit into, we've got modern day gangs. And when fucking the Romans conquered the full of Europe, they came to Scotland and we fucking hung up the hills and battered them and all that, and they fucked off. Like, we have got something in us, you know what I mean? We have got something in us. Unfortunately, drinking alcohol brings that out, like your boxing fights and pubs and stuff like that. It brings it on out the wrong way, and you get the people that don't enact it in a gym, or the modern way of warfare would maybe to go to a gym and fight in a boxing fight, because nobody can go to war. We can't all go to war, do you know what I mean? But the people that don't enact that out, they're the ones that's fucking fighting in pubs and doing all the stupid stuff. But I think we've got a martial warrior blood in us.
I definitely agree with that. There is that kind of that natural instinct nudge to fight, not just fight, to defend. But when you mentioned as well a lot of people that they fight that are tanked up in drugs and alcohol, why do you think Scotland's got such a problem with drugs and alcohol?
Orchestrated control.
Right.
I think it's made like, I said this before recently, you go down a street in Glasgow, there's 10 pubs in the street, there's 10 bookies in the street, shit food in the street. Is the police, no, the police, the government, I don't know if the police or government, I don't know why I say it like that way, but is it that hard for them to stop these boats of fucking cocaine coming into the country? You know what I mean? Is it that difficult? I don't know, man.
I think it's quite a complex matter, because see, if we look at it, especially if you compare it to the jail environment, see, no matter what method the authorities figure out how to deter crime, criminals find a way around it. That's just their ingenious in their methods. If you look at the jail, people are smoking spice and they're getting it in where they used to be getting in. I don't know how they're getting it in now, but they were getting letters sprayed and they were smoking letters. They were getting lawyer stamps and stamped letters so the screws wouldn't open it. They're fighting, no matter what method what the system thinks to try and counter it, they always find a way around it. So criminality is quite advanced in that respect, but there's also that school of thought as well, right? If you're looking at somebody that's in a position of power, it's very lucrative to turn a blind eye to somebody taking something into the country. There's a lot of money in it. As well, it's like if you look back at in America, like Southside, Central LA and Compton, have you ever heard of Ricky Ross?
That's my point. On you go, but
so they like to talk about the Contras. Well, CIA were purposely allowing them to fly in copious amounts of cocaine, so it would decimate the black communities, but it would also help fund their cause. So corruption does exist as well. So I think there's a couple of layers to that.
And do you think that's just one case?
No,
that only happened in South Central and 80s.
That's the one case we've heard of.
Of course, man. So, concentrated, orchestrated control, even with alcohol. I don't have any problem with people. Like, my family own a pub. I don't have any problem with, like, I allegedly know people that are involved in illicit activity. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to say anything on that. I don't judge any of them. They're my pals or whatever. Do you know what I mean? But I don't think we're serving a country well, the beautiful country that we live in. I don't think we're serving it well by allowing that to be in our system. Like, if me and you're sitting at a table, you're sober and I'm sober, and somebody's taking a line, and we just let him take a line, we're allowing that to happen. We should be saying, get that to fuck, what you doing? We should actually be fighting against that a wee bit. And I think it's a bigger epidemic than people want to admit. Cocaine is. You've been in the jail. How fucking horrible is it in the jail with all the people that are addicted and like they've not got a hope in hell because their brains are psychotically their brains have been messed up psychotically. Alcohol, like how bad a addiction is alcohol addiction, man? Like some people can't fucking function without having a glass of whiskey in the morning.
Yep. Because it's just the ingredients of the problem that have changed their time. Because if you look at, look, there's a lot of pubs that are shutting now in your corners, don't get me wrong, there's still a lot of pubs, but there was probably about 5 times more back in like your 60s, 70s era, because there wasn't really drugs in society as it is now. But you look at them at people whose dads were alcoholics, used to come in, batter the missus and all that kind of stuff. That was really, really common. Alcohol was such a big problem. So I think the ingredients has changed from predominantly alcohol to your drugs, etc. But when you look into the prison environment, the majority of people are all drug addicted. And it's understandable in jail. People are looking for something to escape with. I was lucky, and yourself, we found exercise, and of course Islam. It reintroduced you to your faith. But I find when you look at going to the jail and just take a look, I'd love to say to anybody, and not to treat it like a safari, but if you're able just to get a look in, people just look lost. And that's essentially what they are. And so if you're lost in the day society and you've not got purpose, you've not got drive, you've not got ambition, you've not got a road to follow, you're going to end up finding your way somewhere you don't want to be.
But that lost individual in jail, that's also reflected outside. I've got pals that are heavily addicted to coke, mate, and they phone me up at fucking 4 in the morning when I'm sleeping at 2 on a Saturday and try to like, get me help them, because I do help people with these kind of things. And then I phone them the next day and say, do you phone me at 4 in the morning? No, mate, no, I missed call. But I know they're wanting help.
Aye.
Because I'm the kind of guy that I can say, you need to fucking stop taking that, do you know what I mean? I've took it. I'm no judging. I've took it, and I've took alcohol, and I've been addicted to drugs, and I've been addicted to alcohol, and I know for a fact that it's fucking horrible for us. I maybe not articulate it as good a way, a clear way that people can understand, unfortunately. And I do get a lot of hate for this online because people say you're judgmental, people can do what they want to do. Aye, only God can judge. I'm not judging people for doing what they want to do, but abuse is something that I've got a problem with. It's an epidemic, and I hate it being around my country. And what do we do? Do we round up all the drug dealers, and fucking bar them and stop them for selling drugs? Would that even help? I don't know. I'm not saying that. What I think we could do is like integrate into the youth that alcohol and drug taking isn't cool or isn't good. One wee thing I'll say on that is like in Portugal where I lived before I moved there, obviously the drugs were decriminalised. So sentences were like, if you get caught with drugs, they would like win the charge, that kind of stuff. Like, a lot different from America, right? Mate, see, it's not a very big drug taking place, like compared to Spain, its neighbour. See, when I went to Portugal, everybody's well behaved. You don't really see a lot of heavy drug abuse. That's done something for it. So what they've done, they've decriminalised it and told the youth, wait a minute, drugs aren't cool. Drugs aren't that taboo. What the fuck you doing? They go to uni or something. Do you know what I mean?
So see, when you talk about decriminalisation, because I have heard stories of like, there's instances where people are smoking crack in the street, and I'm not saying that's like a common thing, but the thing is with decriminalisation, before I would have advocated it time ago, but that obviously I've been in recovery, I just advocate for abstinence. But I'm kind of like you, listen man, you do your thing. If you need help, I'm there to offer support. The thing I worry with decriminalisation, that kind of, I think that floats too closely to accepting it.
So can I just interrupt you? Sorry, I don't agree with it. Decriminalisation.
No.
I'm just saying, in the culture of Portugal, decriminalisation has made the youth not like it. So I'm abstinence. I think we all need to no drink, or take drugs, or smoke weed. But I might be a bit too hardline for people there. And it's not purely because I'm a Muslim, mate. To be honest with you, I've always kind of thought this all my life. I think it's just natural that we keep our natural state of consciousness. Personally.
Yep, I've noticed that as well. See, since been off it, my gut intuition, it reconnects you with your intuition, your gut, your spirit, whatever you want to call it. I think they're all the same thing with a different title. Drugs disconnect you from that. It's like a Wi-Fi router. See, like drugs and alcohol, it disconnects you from the source. It's always there. You're just disconnected. When you take away all these substances that block you off, you re-establish your connection. And I've noticed that, man. See,
That's beautiful.
everything I've got in life right now, I wouldn't have got it without abstinence, but I also wouldn't have maintained it without abstinence. I was actually thinking about this earlier. Like, as much as, because there's sometimes it pops into your head loosely, it comes and goes sometimes like that, right? So and so going to a party stuff, and see if I wasn't doing this, my business, if I wasn't making my videos, wasn't doing all the things that I'm doing, I would feel lost. And that's the thing as well. Drugs and alcohol were my purpose for a long time. It was my identity. I was that guy who was out for 4 days on end. I was up longer than everybody else. It was all my patter was about. It was all I spoke about. But it was a miserable existence, and it always was. They called it honeymoon period. It's a very short period. I think I started, for the time it was problematic, about maybe 10 year, give or take, a couple of year that's on drugs. And I look at that time, I was just lost. And as I say, I was right into the gym. When I was in Polmont, I got out, eventually fell into drug taking. It wasn't every day right away. It was like, when I was out having a drink, have a wee couple of lines, and then it was full nights, and then it was 2 nights, 3 nights, and I thought, no, I'd patched the gym, because I had no motivation, I had no discipline, no drive to go to the gym. And it happened as well when I done that sentence in Berlin. But within a couple of hours, I got out. I had all these grand plans to go and play all these gigs and take all these tunes with us, and I was sniffing gear, I was on it. And then that just went right out the window. I didn't want to do it. And since coming away from that, it's helped me re-establish my purpose, because I think we need something that fuels us. We need some ambition. We need that desire, because see, if you're just living life, if you're working, going to work, coming home, and that's it, that's quite depressing to me. You need something else. You need flavour. You know what I'm talking about? You need a bit of sauce. You need a bit of spice to add into life. For me, that's what I think anyway. Like, so you've got your fighting, but there's also layers you're adding onto that, where it's transferring into coaching and your religion as well. But if you think if drugs is a part of your sole purpose, that's all it needs to be.
But just hides all that. Just masks all that, doesn't it?
It
Like,
buries you.
you've got a fucking fantastic online social media thing. Like, take a few lines, that might just crumble tomorrow. Same as me, I'll not be fighting. I'll not be fucking fighting. And then I'll touch on this, I'm a wee bit, mate. So obviously, like, I became a Muslim 7 years ago, and right away I was hardline, like, practicing. It's very, very hard. 5 times a day prayer and that. Ramadan was extremely hard for me. I never finished it the first time, and then it kind of got me down. So anyway, I fell away from the practice. Always believed in Islam, because I did. As soon as I learned about it, I believed in it. Always fell away from the practice. So when I fell away, after knowing what I should be doing with myself, my time, I'd fall deeper into addiction, deeper into drug taking. Do you know what I mean? It was as if God was telling me, all right, you know what, listen to me. That's your medicine.
The higher the mountain you climb, the bigger the drop is when you fall.
Aye, but I just knew the answer. I was scared of the answer. I was scared that the practice was hard for me. The 5-day prayers, all that kind of stuff was hard for me. Anyway, so I lost everything, mate. See, because I was drinking, taking drugs, I lost everything. I lost hundreds of thousands of pounds, mate, like, through crypto and all these kind of things and whatever. Near enough lost my family, lost my identity, lost my shape, like, lost a lot of respect. And what a fucking hellish time. This was only space of 2 or 3 years. What a hellish time, mate. Like, I lost my house, like, horrible. So anyway, a few months before I go to jail, I started like getting involved with this thing. I was doing private security for people and all that. I ended up with this belter of a job, and I started thinking, no, I'm going to start praying again, right? So I started praying, but something made me still do that act, the criminal act. But that's what I'm saying. I think it was God making me do that act so that I would fall back into that reflection time in prison to believe in God. And see what you said there about the Wi-Fi and the connective for the source. See, God or Allah or the universe, whatever you want to call it, I call it also the creative energy source. And see, when you said source, I clicked right onto that there. Anything that deviates me from the creative energy source is not good for me in my life, or deviates the nation of Scotland from their purpose for the given to them by the creative energy source is not good for them. And that's how I'm so passionate about this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can tell you're really passionate about it, and see, I can kind of relate to you. See, when we're talking about being disconnected from that source, it's like we talk about being able to reflect in the past, and it gives it context, and it's only after the fact that it's lived forwards but understood backwards. It's not until you go down the wrong path, no matter how far down rock bottom that takes you, for you to find your way back and then look back and go, right, that's what happens when I don't do the work, when I don't follow my gut, when I don't follow the source of creator as such. This is where it takes me. Whereas I think to myself, you see it yourself as well, fighters especially, people, if we use like boxing, you'll see young boys, they'll get steered into boxing, usually by like their dad or something, and you probably see it, the over enthusiastic dad that's trying to live out their dream. And
Probably that dad and my son. No,
in some of these cases where it gets thrust upon them, and a lot of them, even football as well, that's quite a popular one too, and a lot of the young people, they'll know like socialise much, it will just be grind, and then they'll get to like their early 20s and they'll be like, right, wait a minute, I've missed out on all my teenage years, and that's when they fall off the wagon. Because then they go, well, I've got life to live in, that kind of thing, in the box, whatever it was, no matter what level they go to, that gets binned because they start going out and partying because they've got that FOMO. But I think if somebody's had a disciplined life installed on them, because discipline, you need to be undisciplined to discover discipline.
That's true.
I don't believe anybody's born with discipline. I think it needs to be installed in you.
But you said there, you need to find out yourself why discipline's important. You're not going to read it in a book. You're not going to let your dad telling you need to be disciplined. You need to find it for yourself. You need to go through a period of being undisciplined, not liking it, and then going, no, wait a minute, I need to know live like that. Boom, I'm going to be disciplined.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I'm like that the new Mega, because I was like really undisciplined for years, and then in jail I was like, no, the only fucking thing I've got is training, praying, reading, and that's it. I'm not going to take drugs. I'm not going to go and social. I was socialising, but no mega socialising, because it got boring after a while. You know what I mean? Playing chess every day. I'm not going to do that for fucking 11 months. So I focused on my discipline. And then when you said about the coaching, that's what my coaching is. I help men become mentally fortified. My coaching programme is called Fortified. It's helping people, not just fortified mentally, but fortified in all different aspects, like maybe help them be better fathers if they ask me to help them with that, because like, I think it's part of it as well, part and parcel. Family, faith, freedom, financial freedom, mental fortitude. It's all kind of connected in fighting, it's all connected. Like, I think all the weekends, I say in all Fs, like, they just make you kind of the complete man. Do you know what I mean? So I've got this thing as well, like, with discipline, this is going on discipline. I think that if you've got an obligation, if you've created a child with a woman or whatever, and you've got the obligation, like, you should try your hardest, man, to try and fucking see it out to the end. To try, because it does. Think about this, how much it impacts like families when a wee Wayne grows up without a man there, just because he's not got the discipline, or she's not got the discipline to keep their mouth shut at certain times, or get rid of their ego at certain times, to kind of, because you've made that contract, that biological universal contract to create a child. I know I'm rabbiting on you, but it comes down to discipline. Like, a lot of people haven't got the discipline. That's one of the most important things to be disciplined about. They haven't got the discipline to, like, wait a minute, I've made a child with this person, she's annoyed me, I'm going to fuck off and leave her. That's a very, very selfish, undisciplined act. Do you know what I mean? Because it's impacting your child. So I think, like, it comes off of the same thing, comes from my faith, but I don't teach people about my faith, I teach people about any faith. You've said God a few times, I imagine you've got a faithful guy in some way, shape or form. I try and help people discover that I don't care. I think all faiths and all paths to God are beautiful, and I love and respect every one of them. I was a Christian before, and I became a Muslim. That's my story. It doesn't matter. I don't need them to make, I don't ever want them to change because of that. Do you know what I mean? But faith, you need to be disciplined in your faith. You need to be disciplined in your fighting, like your health, your fitness. This is what you'd call go to the gym and stuff like that, nutrition. You need to be disciplined in your mental fortitude. Like, you can't let yourself waver. You can't let people's negative words impact you. You need to be strong with it. Your family life is what I've just said. And financial freedom as well. Look at what you're doing just now with the social media. You're not just like geeing up yourself and like taking a wee job, which I don't, nothing wrong with that, but you know your potential, you know you've got creative talent, everybody in the world can see it, I can see it, that's why I'm here with you today. So you've got the discipline to enact financial freedom, do you know what I mean? So that's my kind of, my wee things I'm trying to help people with.
So see what I like to your coaching, because for most people might see you're a fighter and you do coaching, so 1 and 1 makes 2, they'll think it's just 1-to-1 coaching.
Aye.
But yours sounds like it's a kind of different level, it's a more mindset type coaching. But what are the kind of methods you use without giving away your trade secrets? But what kind of methods is it all centered around fighting?
No, it's like, that's the medium that people come to me, you know what I mean? So it's relative to the individual, but a lot of it is fighting, like guys that need to be disciplined, like, with drinking drugs. A great way for them is to get them in the gym and fight. Do you know what I mean? But my online coaching is a wee bit different. Like, basically, I set up a daily routine. I call it a bomb-proof routine.
Right.
It doesn't matter if there's a fucking atomic bomb going off next day, you need to still stick to this routine.
Right.
And then I work with a client through however long I need to work with them through that routine sticks to that part of their daily life every day, and it's all centered around discipline. And funny enough, it's all centered around about gratitude, because without gratitude and discipline are directly correlated. Without gratitude, what we've got, why I'm here, my healthy body, my beautiful family, whatever, etc. Discipline comes for that, because you need to stay disciplined to keep that. Do you know what I'm saying?
Aye.
And when people aren't grateful, it's very, very hard to stay disciplined, because you don't really know what you need to be disciplined for. Do you understand what I mean?
I totally get you, mate. I totally get you. And it's gratitude is attitude. It's definitely, it's very powerful. And it's realising it's focusing on what you've got and not what you've not got. Because I think in society, I look at quite a materialistic society. I think for the most part, a lot of people can be like that, especially when you're younger. You look at, right, I've not got this, and it's grown up in like a working class area. You go back to the single parent families. Usually for a young age, you're indirectly aware of the fact that money is a problem. So the thinking of, right, if I've got this, then life will be easier. And if you're looking at your ma, like the likes of my ma, she done well for what she had, but there was times I was aware that money was a struggle in the house. So you're thinking, right, if I've got this, and then that takes away the worries and problems. But then, see, when I talk about my ma was able to give me everything I wanted, it wasn't until later in life I was able to show gratitude for that. Because as a child, you don't understand these things. Nobody tells you about back then. Nobody told you about gratitude. And as much as, and this goes back to another gratitude thing, we can look at like smartphones and social media and see the impact they have on young people. But we can also look at the positives if used in the right way,
Right.
and no overindulging and stuff like that, and having access to this medium of information where you can discover things like the gratitude and discipline. I'd never heard the word discipline up until later on in adult life. No word people in my scheme used, discipline. Or if it was discipline, it was like
Trouble.
aye, you were being disciplined. But apparently discipline is derived from the word disciple,
Right.
and it's to follow. So
Wow.
having a disciplined regime, you're following that regime almost blindly, and that's the bomb proof. I could really connect with that, because no matter what, I've got my wee routine in the morning. There's some, you'll see entrepreneurs online scoffing at it, but I don't take any notice of them. I've developed my routine there, trial and error, whereas I'll get up, maybe do a wee stretch in the morning, cold bath and meditation, and I'll say a wee prayer and all, I'll admit about that.
Cool.
And
Like,
that
you
is
should admit
integral.
that, that's
And
good.
see, sometimes if I wake up late, if I've been up late the night before and I need to be somewhere, I'm like, right, I've not got time today, I'll get out. But I'll always be like, right, I need to get that done. It's like to do, I can't remember. Well, I couldn't tell you the last time I never done it. And for that, it centres you. But the gratitude thing, I always write down 3 things I'm grateful for. See, when I'm not doing it, I notice how resentful I can be.
Wow.
If I've not done it for a few days, I notice the resentment that seeps in. And it allows you to remind you what you've got in life, because we talk about, if you look at these countries that are a lot poorer than ours, like Glasgow's got a reputation as being rough, but like if you go to somewhere like Syria, you'll notice a different type of rough. Know what I mean? Rough is posh out there. And if you look at the likes, I get up and go, I've got my own studio, I've got my own business, I drive, I've got my own motor. It's like I've got money in the bank, because I could focus on, I've not got X amount of cash to go and buy this, that, and the next thing. But the thing is, I've looked at, I'm not rolling in it. I'll let people know that I know. I think people get under this impression that you're on social media, you're in the public eye to a degree, that you're packing with money. I wouldn't exactly go as far as say I'm minted, but what is minted? Being able to buy all this meaningless materialistic stuff that doesn't make me happy, or having enough just to provide my basic necessities, but allow me enough free time to focus on what I love doing, and that's the position I find myself in. That takes time to discover that way of thinking.
And I love that you're saying that, mate. I love that you're saying that. And listen, this took me a long time. What age are you?
32.
Right, so I'm 38, right? This took me a long time to realise this, right? Money isn't a standard, it isn't like a decisive thing on real wealth. Really wealth, mate. I've got a beautiful family, beautiful wife, stunning wife, amazing pals, fit, healthy body, etc, etc, etc. Good connection to God, stay in Scotland. And I'm a fucking billionaire. And it does not mean money. And I've had money. I've had more money than I could spend, and like whatever. Like, and the past is the past. And I was the poorest cunt in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? I'm actually financially probably worse off than I've ever been in my life. You know, like if I started like heavy working, like if I was younger or whatever. But I'm doing alright. But I mean, I swear to God, I feel richer. And that's exactly what it is. I'm super in tune with the gratitude. Because you said you write it down every day and you do a prayer. Right, so that's basically what I try and help people with. I do it 5 times a day. I wake up the crack of dawn and pray. And the first thing I say is like, God, like, thank you for giving me this chance to come here again. Like, thank you for waking me up today. And I do it 4 times through the day. And then Ramadan's such a gratifying thing because I'm starving, guys. I've not ate since fucking 5 in the morning. I've trained, I'm starving, no drunk water. And these gratifying things that Islam has taught me, and obviously through like Christianity as well, we've done Lent as that as well. It's all the same stuff, mate. I don't give a fuck about what I don't have. I'm no jealous of MD. I don't care about MD. Like, I don't want to talk about MD. I don't talk about people like that, gossip about that. I'm just so happy in my me lane. I'm so happy. I'm so grateful to be talking to you today, mate. In this amazing studio. This for me is purposeful. I'm having a fucking ball here. Do you know what I mean? So that disengagement of what we have in our life versus what we don't have, that's what people need to really fucking discover. That's what discipline is. That's how you're abstinent. That's how you don't drink, because you know, like, you're grateful for the stuff that you've got. Do you know what I mean? Gratitude is everything.
Definitely. And see, I find that it's an everyday thing. It's no, you do it once, a one and done. It's a practice. The practice of gratitude, and if you don't do it, it shows you how quick you can fall back into like, old ways of thinking. But being grateful for what I've got, because I can look at, see, like my business, the business I operate in, or certain times I can go, oh, I should be making more money for this, and you can start to become complacent, and then so once you switch that thinking, it just changes your mood entirely. Like, wait a minute, I'm doing what I want. I'm living my best life, and I'm not just living my own best life. I'm living a lot of people's best lives, because there's a lot of people that would do anything to be in my position, be in our position, and it's reminding yourself of that. But it's just trying to arrest your thinking. I think it's a human thing, and I don't know if it's ingrained in us or if it's just a societal thing, because if you look at advertising, right, you can't really go without seeing advertised, especially if you're on social media, you watch the telly. Every product advertised has the intention, or is sold as having the intention of, this will make your life better. Life will be better once you get this. So it goes back to that thing as well. Like there's a thing in seeing like videography. It's called gear acquisition syndrome, and what that is,
to get all the best gear.
Aye. So I can buy a brand new camera, and within a couple of weeks, I'm like, you see another wee gadget, I'm going to buy that, and it's like, and you just go and buy all this stuff because you've got the intention of bettering yourself, bettering your product as such. But then you get it. It's the pursuit once you've got it. It's like somebody says to me, it's like we could get a Ferrari, a brand new Ferrari, and a week later it's the wrong colour. And that's what it becomes, and it can happen in relationship, jobs, or whatever. But if you ground yourself in the present moment and remind yourself what you've got, sometimes I forget this stuff's in here, and I need to stop and look at it all, because this has took time. And that's the thing as well. When I talk about looking back in retrospect, it's understood backwards. Like, see all of this, if somebody just handed me this in a plate, if I get given 10 grand to go and buy the best equipment I could get, it would mean nothing. This has had to be built. I've had to work for this. I've had to, no struggle, but I've used equipment that wasn't the best. I've upgraded my equipment. I've also upgraded my skills. And that wasn't an easy process. A lot of times in here I was nearly thrown in the towel. Laptops were nearly getting smashed up. Maybe a few things did get broke, lights get accidentally broke and stuff like that. But every time when you're sitting and you realise, wait a minute, it's like the caterpillar in the cocoon. Once the cocoon breaks, the butterfly comes with it.
Right.
So people don't see that. People don't understand that. And if social media's got a lot to answer for in that respect, if you're looking at people that are advertising the finished product, but I'll use a phrase that will probably explain this better. Somebody says, an overnight success came after 10 years of hard work.
That's good.
I love that because I'm looking at myself. I'm in my journey of what I'm doing. I'm 5 years into it. So I like to think I'm halfway. Good. A lot of people don't think like that because I think a lot of people want it there and then. I want it and I want it now. And it's a human thing, I think. And it comes back to that discipline. You need to train yourself to play the long game, especially in fighting as well.
Fighting's fucking all about discipline, but no even discipline. I'll talk about the money thing, right? So, I fought in Australia there. A massive fight. I get paid alright money, cool money. I get paid sponsors and that to come. So the sponsors paid me, but I was kind of spending money while I was in Australia, and then I went to Mecca. And somebody helped me go to Mecca, but I had to spend a bit more money anyway. So I've come back kind of skint. Right. But the Australian purse hasn't come in my bank yet. Oh, right. So I'm fucking heavy skint. I'm like bastard. And like my wife looking at me going, "Fuck's sake, you've went to Australia," and kind of a bit raging that the money's not there. The money came in my bank today, and I'm alright. I'm brand new. You know what I mean? Life's good. But I'm not saying she's not grateful, but she's emotional. She's emotional because she's obviously thinking, fuck, he's away, he's went on holiday and the money's not there now and all that. I'm logical. I know the money's coming. I'm relaxed.
Faith.
I'm faith. But I know it, but it's like, not even, it's like actual logical. I've been written a contract, the money's got to be there. It's not the other day. It's a wee bit longer than I thought it was, but it's there. It's a good wee example for it. And another example on like this acceptance of like no having money or having money, I don't give a fuck. When I went to the Spanish Nick, as I said, you need money to buy water. Like you're drinking that toilet water if you've no water, mate. Sometimes, so I'll explain in a wee minute, but so like, they pay money on a Wednesday. If it's paid in by the Wednesday, you've got a full week's money. But if it's not paid on by the Wednesday, you don't have a full week with no money. You can't put it on a Thursday or Friday if you have money.
Right,
do you know what I'm saying?
Right,
so you mad weird system like that.
It's quite similar to like the Scottish deals too.
So some weeks my wife tried to put money in and it was late or whatever, and then for a full week I had no money. And fucking mate, try and stay there with no money. Like you're not getting anything. And I'm a Muslim, so I can't eat the pork dishes. The Ramadan, the Muslim food was terrible, mate. Like it was just fucking, that's horrible. And that taught me, because I always chase money, mate. I always chase big money. Let's fucking get it. Let's be the game me guy that can go and take risks and get money. That's the way I was, right? To the detriment of my family. And I thought it was doing well, but I wasn't. But see, now I've lived without any money, I'm alright. I can sit and just chill now that fucking that Australian money never came in. Do you know what I mean? Because I've spent weeks in that jail with not a fucking single penny. You know what I mean? And even my pals, they were getting 350 quid every week, and they were all Billy big time in it and all that. I said, "Do you want it?" And all that. I'm like, "No, I'm cool because I'm quite humble. Like, I'm not going to ask for it." Do you know what I mean? That taught me that. Self-discipline, that fortified mentality that I don't need fuck all. You know what I mean?
It's almost like conditioning.
Exactly.
It's like, if you go back to the sparring analogy, like when the first time you're going to go in, if you've never done it before, you are going to be absolutely quaking in your boots for the most part. And then it's until you develop yourself, you condition, you get better at dealing with it, you start to become confident. No matter how bad this situation gets, I've been here before, I know it today. I like so you're saying, if that money didn't come, you know, I can survive this.
Exactly.
That comes with life experience, I think, and that's the beautiful thing about the hardest of hardships you'll ever face, because it's like callousing yourself. It's like developing internal calluses. There you go, man. The cauliflower ears inside.
That's it.
Developing a cauliflower willpower.
That's brilliant.
That's brilliant. Copyright that. Cauliflower willpower. I'm gonna start saying that. That's gotta be my
That's
problem.
a belter.
But that's exactly what it is. Because I get like that as well. See, and it's not been in the practice, of course. Our kind of spiritual disciplines, I'll call it that. I wouldn't say I'm religious, but I kind of like you, like a religion's made a kind of individual basis. Like, I understand there's many different religions for many different people. That's totally fine. So whereas in recovery, I talk about God, but it's a higher power, so it can be your definition of it. So the idea behind that is so it kind of makes it open to people of all beliefs in that, because if you're thinking if it's all about Christianity, then
Aye,
the guy
of
who
course.
believes in like, Islam as such, or the Jew is maybe going to
Aye.
feel a bit ostracised for that. So the idea makes it open.
That's what it should be, just God, mate.
Yeah, that's, and I think it's just it becomes it's a political argument. See, for a lot of people, it start like using it as like an identity to kind of wage war on people. It's like it shouldn't really be about that. I believe it should be about acceptance. But I find myself, I'm not going to meetings. I was talking to you about earlier. I felt burnt out, but I hadn't been to a meeting. I hadn't been training. And doing the work and being the practice of doing the work, because that's where the praying comes from. And like personal inventory at night, you reflect back in your day. Have you been selfish, resentful, all that kind of stuff? You ask God to remove it.
Personal inventory.
Personal inventory. So that's like basically you've got a wee checklist, and you'll basically ask yourself, you'll date at night, and you'll reflect back in the day, and you'll look at, right, have I been selfish? Have I been dishonest? Have I been resentful?
A wee checklist.
What could I have done better? A checklist.
That's brilliant.
So you meditate every night, and don't get me wrong, it's like for me, I'm not by any means perfect. I don't always do it, but when I'm in the practice of doing what I should be doing, I notice life is so much easier to manage, and that faith thing, whereas before I could be panicking. The amount of times I'm sitting in here and I'll be up to 2 a.m. editing because I need to get this done, I need to get it done, and I realised I'm running on fear quite a lot of times, and that's one of the questions the personal inventory asks: have I been in fear? And the idea of this program is faith is the opposite of fear, because faith is believing no matter how it goes, it'll work itself out. Fear is thinking it's going to be a disaster if these consequences befall upon me. And the likes of running on fear, I do think fear can be quite a useful tool in terms of, right, I need to be able to handle myself on the street. So a negative result of that fear would be, right, I'm going to go and carry a blade. A positive one would be, I'm going to get into boxing, and I'm not going to set out with the intention of hurting anybody, but if I'm placed in a situation like that again, I'm confident I can handle myself. There's fear that gives you false confidence, and fear that can give you positive confidence. So positive, as I say, the boxing analogy, and the false confidence is that blade, because that's essentially what it is, false confidence.
Aye.
But as I say, being in the practice of doing what I need to be doing and having that faith, and you realise, you talk about your missus, it's when you look at people that are in these kind of practices for whatever reason, because people have all got different kind of beliefs in that, and then you see it and you're like, wow man, I'm so privileged to have such simplicity in my life where I can turn to this practice, this regime essentially, and I'm of the faith that no matter what happens to me, if anything, when I look at, right, the worst possible scenario, I'm still going to benefit, because as we go back to your hardships are the things that callous you. So I'm always going to learn. If I don't earn, I'll learn, essentially. So I'm always going to benefit, in a sense.
Well, this life is but a test. This is what I keep saying. And I think this full life, say it's 8 years old, is but a step in our soul's actual journey. And it's filled with all sorts of small tests, like prison, fucking need money, whatever, we're getting stabbed. And all these wee small tests, I think, just draw you closer to God. So I keep saying God. Like, God is really important to me. Like, super important to me. And on an individual level, like, it's my perception of God. But I say God because everybody understands the word God. Do you know what I mean? But it's super important to me. So I think God is directly opposite of what the ego is. So I think the ego's a bad thing. And I read in a book recently, the ego is edging God out. So it's like, God is like the universal energy source, and when you edge him out and focus on the ego, you're just only focusing on the self, and the self can't like compete with fucking the universe. You know what I mean? It never can. So when I take away that ego for everything, I'm dead. I'm actually quite really strict with it, you know, like especially around Ramadan. I'm dead strict with the ego just now. Like example, like my wife said something to me last night, I kind of nearly bit at her, but I just whoop, just don't let that affect you. Do you know what I mean? So I'm really super aware of that. Maybe these situations, as I said, this life's a test. Maybe they're teaching me to get less ego driven and more connected to God. Because I think we all really ultimately need to be more connected to the creative energy source. What you say about recovery is amazing, right? This is what I think about faith. There's no superiority in belief. Everybody thinks there is. There's no superiority in belief. I believe what I believe. It doesn't mean what I believe is better than what you believe, because you believe what you believe and it's totally irrelevant to me. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's the same for 8 billion people in this world. So when I say about Islam online, I've got a great story. If anybody wants to speak to me about my story, I'll fucking tell you. Do you know what I mean? I've probably not got enough time in this podcast, but if anybody wants to actually speak to me about it, message me on Instagram and I'll go over it in detail. It's my personal journey. But I generally don't think like MD's got a right to. Like, I get pure bullshit on it, like Islam and this, and they don't know fuck all about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know anything about being a joiner, so I've not been a joiner, so I'm not going to fucking pass comment on being a joiner. How many settings have these people practiced Islam? And when you go on faithful over fear, right? If you're a faithful man, this is what I'm trying to tie into here. If you're a faithful man and you believe in this creative energy source, whether it's Allah, the universe, God, whatever it is, if you're a faithful man, you're faithful to your partner, which is really important. You're faithful to your word. Your word's your bond. You're not a liar. You're faithful to your business. You know what I mean? You're a faithful friend, and you're ultimately faithful to yourself. And I think faith isn't just about God; it's about all the other parameters. See, even I know you're a faithful man because you've mentioned it there. So I can kind of maybe guide that. I can maybe guess that you're kind of solid in those 5 areas there. Do you know what I mean? If somebody's no faithful and they think they're too good for God, they think they're too good for a religion or too good for whatever, which a lot of people try to argue with me just now. I think to myself, you're quite ego-driven, man, and you're faithless. And I seen a thing that Scotland has said that it's in like a chart, they've ticked itself as 54% faithless recently. And I don't think that's good, man. I don't think we all need to go and practice a fucking extremist religion, because I don't do that myself. But I think religion is like the ultimate personal development course. So you see, you said about that personal inventory and all that, that's obviously come for recovery or something like that. Right, so that's a personal development course. Religion's just another personal development course. I think it's so important, man. Like you said to me there, I pray. I don't even mind telling you I pray. You said that. Like, tell me. You should tell everyone.
It's not so much that. It's one of the things. I don't know. Maybe it's a part of it. Because see, for me, like my belief in God, my idea of what God is, and praying for me, that's a personal thing. So it's not so much I hide away from it. I briefly mention it, but for me, it's a personal process. And I understand it's like people speak openly about it, but I'm not uncomfortable with it. But for me, it's like, when we talk about recovery, right? So when you talk about a God, it's a God of your own understanding, and you say use the title God. So that can be Buddha if it wanted to be, it can be the universe, it can be whatever it is, but God is just the title. For that, what they say is it's your definition of God, so it's personal. So it doesn't matter if, like, I could say my idea of God is whatever, and then somebody says, well, my idea of God is this. That nobody's rang there.
Exactly.
So it's just your own personal, because at the end of the day, and if you look at humanity, there is not one thing that humanity in combination agree in. Everybody's going to disagree in something.
Exactly.
That's just the way we are. That's free will. God gave us free will.
Exactly.
So the fact that there's many different religions, because as you say, if you compare like Christianity, Islam, Judaism, whatever, they've all got kind of different teachings. They've got different ways of living. Of course, I believe it reconnects you to that same source, or that same origin of source, but I think there's different things for different people, because some people are like, nah, it's not really for me, all about this. Just certain things you connect with and certain things you don't.
Yeah, it's like Coke and Pepsi.
Exactly.
I mean, it's just a choice. I mean, I think God understood that. And see how ultimately, I know me, I've read a lot about Christianity, studied it all my life, read the Bible a lot, went to Catholic school, studied a lot about Islam, studied a wee bit about Buddhism, studied a wee bit about Hinduism and that. It's all the same fucking shit. And see the way you're talking about the way they say in the recovery, like that's ultimately what I think about it. So there's some clever guy that's just obviously clicked onto that and says it the way I say it. Like, it's a personal, relative thing, and it only relates to me. But if I'm part of a religion, it teaches me how to like think about God,
how to achieve that as
how
well.
How to achieve that personal recognition of God. That's what all these religions do. But I'm not going to go and fucking start shouting at somebody because they think they're better than me. Cool, you fucking think you're better than me all you want. I know I'm happy with myself, you know what I mean?
Yep, I think people do kind of wield it like a torch, and I think it's that ego thing where ego, it's like in recovery they talk about some people. I heard a definition the other day, so you'll get people that will go into recovery, and then the minute they're like, right, to the other pals that still use drugs, when you get off it, when you get into recovery, and suddenly it becomes their problem rather than it's called narcissistic recovery disorder. So it's essentially people that, it's like you talk it, like you hear about these preachers that are trying to convert people and try to force it upon them and that kind of thing. I think that's ego driven, because if you're looking at true spirituality, true religious practice, one of the number one things is acceptance, and it's accepting people for what they are, and it's accepting people are on their own journey. And for me, a lot of I see, like, I don't go too much into it, but in recovery, having to learn to be patient with people and tolerance, they're two massive things, because I was so intolerant of others previous to recovery as such, and it's going in and actually basking in, right, I don't really accept where they are right now, but rather than try and force them down a route that I think they should go down, I'll let them find it in their own way and accepting everybody's own journeys. And it's having that faith as well, like the faith in the sense where they'll find their way no matter, because see, I suddenly understood the frustration that my man and all that would have for me for years, because they'd be frustrated with me because of the life I was living, and at the time I felt like they were on my case. And then when I tried to develop this tolerance for other people, I suddenly understand I can recognise potential in people, or I think I can. You know, there's some people that you can see a route for them, but they just don't see it themselves and they'll no pursue it. Right. And I've had pals in that, I've tried to guide them into stuff like this because I know they're charismatic, they've got it, there's a want there, but there isn't a want either. They want to be there, but it's just there's no drive behind it, and I would get frustrated. And then suddenly I realised this is what people saw in me, my parents, my family seen in me. It was that pursuit of potential, and then it was that sudden, right, everybody's on their own journey, it might not be for them.
Aye. And did your family accept your journey with this business and stuff like that?
Oh, aye, definitely, because I think as well, it's like, right now I'm doing something that I enjoy, but I'm not, because see, for the past 10 years, I was in and out of jail, and I was quite open about being a mad drug addict, so I think they're just glad that I'm abstinent. They don't need to worry about me anymore. But plus as well, this sounds like, I'll say this honestly, right, and it might not seem much to anybody, I've not had to tap my mum money in a good few years. And I used to have to do that all the time because I was a mad degenerate. I never had any cash to my name. No, I would say I could be quite supportive. My family actually asked me, like, do you want to take your nephew to like gym and all that kind of stuff? I'm suddenly responsible. I was never responsible for my full life. When they trust me to watch your telly, responsibility was not a factor in my life, and that's the thing as well. I was unable to take responsibility even for that, but I had a pure victim complex, and where even if I'd done something wrong to somebody, I couldn't take responsibility for that. But now taking responsibility for myself, and that's that thing, like nobody's at the foot of my bed going like, right, get up, mate, it's your day, you go get it, right, make sure you do your cold water, make sure, if anything, people are saying, what are you doing?
Aye.
And then you need to block out all the noise, and then suddenly you become the hero in your own story.
Hero's journey.
Exactly.
So what was the point for the drug addict that tapped his mad degenerate to now? What was this drawing line?
So I think the biggest thing was the creativity, because it was lockdown had occurred, and I started posting videos on social media, and I suddenly liked it, and then it led me back into playing the guitar, and I'd fell away from it for so long since I got out of Berlin in 2016 and barely touched the guitar till 2020. So the thing was right there behind that chair. It gathered dust, and I was like, I'm just going to start playing the guitar again, something a day, because I remember, I think the first day of lockdown I went and got a few cans, and I remember opening one, I was like, is this what this is going to be? I don't like the taste of booze, I never did, but I would just end up getting possessed by it, but I ended up throwing it out. And then I remember thinking, what am I going to do? And I seen a quote saying, this will be the making of you or the breaking of you, so it's up to you what you wanted to choose. And I seen the guitar, I was like, I'll play the guitar again. And for that, it just kind of led on into the podcast. I had an idea, my pals to do a podcast, done that, and then it led back into acting with Gary Fraser, and I'd always loved acting. I'd done drama at school, but I was always self-conscious in that and didn't really want to perform because people were laughing at me and all that kind of stuff. So it led back into that. Then suddenly, when I went back to work, I was like, I don't want to be working this job anymore. Suddenly something changed. I was like, I want to be doing the social media stuff. I didn't know how to do it, but I just knew. I was like, finally I've found something. And I'd always dabbled in wee things like, as I say, playing the guitar. I tried stand-up at one point. I always had something to try and focus on. But as I say, when drugs and alcohol took over, they were just, I'd say that was my focus. It focused on me, and I was just I was led astray, essentially, by myself. So eventually, I remember a case came up in 2021 that had happened in 2018. I stole booze at a shop and get caught with a blade. It was back when I was really bad with a gear, doing stupid, reckless stuff. it came up, and I remember my life was great. I had all this good stuff going, thinking this will go well for me. And the court system don't really see it like that. They just see it black and white. This is your previous and this is a crime. Guilty, see you later. Get sent to jail. And with it being the COVID lockdown, the spice epidemic, plus as well, I'd been plucked away from everything that I had. I wasn't able. Gary Fraser had to halt production for his for supply and demand, because I get the jail. I get the jail during production. He'd give me this part and I get the jail. I didn't think I was going to jail, so I didn't tell him like the week before it, but he done me an absolute solid, know what I mean? I did say to him at the time, listen mate, you can replace me. But he's like, listen, I'll keep the part for you, and he halted production, which fair play to him, and I probably wouldn't have done that for somebody, so he done us a solid.
He's a good guy, man.
But being plucked out of all of that and flung back into jail, it was like regressing back, and it was my actions that led to me being there, but partly as well, I hadn't planned to go back. And I never planned to go back. I've been in jail like 5 times. Every time I never planned to go back. I just ended up back. I never planned to go to jail the first time. It's funny that, innit? But I remember going back and just like, this is what's waiting for me. And it's that thing, having that taste, right, this is where I can end up quite easily if I take my eye off the ball. So
how long were you in that sentence for?
I only done 4 months.
Right,
hardest sentence I've ever done. I done 4.5 years when I was 17. That was the hardest, because I had changed. And I was in the jail, and as you see, you've got all this madness going on about you, and people at this point in their life, and I was like, this isn't me anymore. It never was me, but I just wasn't able to accept it, and I was like, nah. And I was grateful I was able to get a job in the radio station and use my ideas creatively and that kind of thing, man. But when I let out, and don't get me wrong, it's not as if I left jail and I was totally abstinent for then. I left, and then there were times I would end up, I wasn't an everyday drug user, but when I used it, I'd end up back in here sniffing gear myself with the telly turned to one, doors locked and all that, curtain shut, pure horrible. And every time, like, why do I keep doing this? But what it would do is, see, for about 2 weeks after I'd been on it, I couldn't do anything creative. It was just, I'd isolate myself and that, and I was realising that was a barrier to my purpose.
Progress,
It was getting in the way. It was like a Jenga block, and I would feel that I was pulling pieces at this Jenga block until it eventually crumbled and I need to rebuild it again. So that, amongst a few other things, I kind of realised, right, I just need to get a grip on this. And since then, I look at the life I've got now, I couldn't even, if I wanted to, even if I wasn't an addict, I couldn't fit drugs or alcohol into my life. And I used to be at the start, look at people that can go out on a Friday and have a couple of pints and go home, or can smoke a wee joint, and I'd be envious of them, like, why can that not be me? But then I look at the past 2.5 years, I've not had a come down, I've not had a hangover. You know what I mean? I've not had to sit lying rough, I've not had to do anything, I've not wasted money on booze or nothing, man. And it's freeing, man. It's amazing. Honestly, God, and I'd say it to anybody, but listen, people are on their own journeys, man. But as I say, the life I've got to know, I wouldn't change it for nothing, and I'm sure you're in the same position.
Nah, mate, I'll never drink, mate. I'll never drink. Funny enough, my dad's been sober since he was about my age. I've not really seen my dad drunk. We used to be a bit of drinking that, a party or whatever. And he's all his only thing, my dad was always saying, is don't drink. And obviously I rebelled against it a wee bit. But I wasn't a mad drinker when I was younger, but I rebelled against it. And then that time, like, I did start drinking in Spain when I was fucked. Like, it's because I was like trauma, because I lost a lot of money and I was stressed and fucking didn't know what the fuck to do with myself. Aye, hard times. But for instance, my mate the other day was in a bad way, right? And he's phoned me and he's wanting me to help him get off drinking drugs or something. So he's phoned me fucking Sunday when he's halfway through a bender, and I think he just wanted me to go down his house and talk to him. And I was like, no, fuck that, man, we'll go cold water dip him, or go to a sauna or something. And he's like, wouldn't he leave the house? And he had this big bag of gear, and he's like, just take it away from me and all that. So I've grabbed this bag of gear. It's the first time I touched a bag of gear in about a year or so, and I was thinking, like, usually I'd just be dipping into that to see what it's like. You're just like, get that to fuck. No temptation at all. No temptation at all. My mates have asked me a few times to go to a pub. Recently, I went once and just hated it. I actually I love the taste of beer. I love the taste of non-alcoholic beer. I drink it like fuck. I drink it all the time. It's pure nice, and it's good for training. So it's good for putting like electrolytes or something in your body or something.
Right, okay, I've heard that is meant to be quite good for you, man. I just don't take the risk with that kind of stuff. But see, for me, I think you talked about your family's pub. I think I ended up in that recently. Obviously they were all in it. I was at a gig and I wasn't drinking. I can trust myself in a pub, but I just go in and I'm like, this environment's got nothing to offer me.
I hate it.
And it's people all mad with it and all been quote unquote merry, but for me, everything needs to have purpose and intention behind it. Like, we're sitting in here now, there's a purpose behind this because we're creating something. Don't get me wrong, I'll have conversations in the street, but everything I do is probably interlinked to my mission, if you want to put that term on it. So sitting in a pub, I'm like, that's a few hours I could be doing X, Y, Z. I could be contributing
That's your
to
drive.
my vision, and you're probably in the same position in that way as well. You're just like this. There's not. You understand why people just drink and take drugs in a pub, because if you don't do that, there's nothing else to do. It's so boring.
And when you're in that state, you want other people to join you.
I know.
You need to come on, man, let's go then.
Just
and
have
then you
one, man. It's only one.
aye.
I see
Then
that
you're fucked for fucking 2 days. You know what I mean?
That thing is, people see that usually they try and encourage you to drink or do whatever. They don't do that so you feel more comfortable. They do that so they feel more comfortable.
Of course.
Because it makes people feel. I remember when I was young, I never liked weed, and people were boys were smoking weed. Like, you know, take a bucket or a bong. I'm like, I don't like it. Like, I don't like sitting around people that are no stoned and all that. And I'm like, what, man? Like, I don't like it, and I never did. I started smoking weed to get off the gear.
Aye.
I never did like it, but it was like it was a lesser of two evils, man.
Right.
But waste your, all it does, as I say, it disconnects you from the source.
I don't like weed, mate. I don't like weed. I don't like smoking weed. I don't like smoking weed. I don't like being stoned. This is something weird to me, that. It puts me in a mad place I'm not comfortable with.
Nah.
Charlie, I could fucking take that all day with him, but doesn't it? I actually don't really go any different when I take gear. I don't sit paranoid and all that. I actually handle it really, really well. Just maybe a bit too energetic. But that weed's fucking... I don't really agree with that one.
Nah, it's wasting people's brains, man. It's so popular these days, and I don't know if I think that's starting to become the drug of choice. We're saying that a lot of people are on the crack these days. Compared to when I was on it, is like you would hardly. It would probably be people that use smack would be on the crack, but apart, it's very, very common. See the amount of people I meet in the rooms of recovery. People that I know of my peer group, of my age group, usually like, right, it's a certain type of person that would use that, but no, it's very, very common. For me, I feel I got out just in time, but
Fuck's sake.
thing is, see if somebody offered me it when I was on it, I'd have probably took it. So I'm kind of glad I dodged that bullet. But that's the thing. That's where I'm having a path or direction takes you.
So do you know your purpose? Have you got your purpose and what your purpose is in your mind? Do you think about it?
I have. And see, the thing is as well, I'm one of the people, I feel, right now my purpose is just to create. I kind of want to see when I talk about this, it's like that national cringe identity. It's like, oh, it's shite being Scottish. I hate that. I love Trainspotting. I hated that line. I understood what everyone else was doing with that, or whoever wrote it. But for me, it's just too many people have embodied it in this country, and they think we're less than when we're not. We've contributed a lot to the world, but because we're not
We
accepted.
gave a lot to the world, mate. We've gave a lot to the world.
A lot, aye. And the thing is as well, it's like we've got so much to offer the world, but I want to kind of shine a light in Scottish culture, and I try and figure out, right, what is my filter to do that? Because we're all filters in order, how can I best portray this and convey this message to the world? For me, mine is the medium of creativity, like visual, like I love doing documentaries, and I want to move into directing films.
Right,
And writing
that's
scripts and
interesting.
and I want to highlight this. So I would see the likes of doing a podcast. It's, don't get me wrong, it'd be great getting all these big famous names on, but we've all heard their stories. I could go on Wikipedia and find out their story, but I find out the stories that no many people know about, the unsung heroes. It goes back to that giving the youth a role model. Because it's one thing you're looking at this celebrity that's earned all this money, got all this fame and that, but after a point there comes a certain level of disconnect. Because I've really, really learned the power of relatability recently. People are always looking for a hero, and it's somebody that's very close to their circumstances that has done well. Unfortunately, there's a lot of negative heroes, and through no intention of their own, as we say, we go back to that thing, like in the scheme, you're growing up, you're single parents or whatever, it's financial and personal security are your biggest problems. So you're looking at, like, who's the person that solved the issue of financial security, who's your hero, and they're usually the guy driving about in the Range Rover that's punting boxes away. What I'm talking about, that just happens to be who fits that mould, because you're not really seeing these people. And I'm just using that as a definition. When I left school, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I had no idea. I knew some things I liked, but I didn't see a career for them. And I don't know if this is a worldwide thing. It doesn't seem to be for what I see in America as such, but people are not really encouraged to pursue something they love. It's always pursue the safe bet. And for me, it was like, get a trade. I'm like, what's a trade? You could be a plumber, a joiner, engineer. And I'm like, a plumber, that sounds good. Didn't know what does a plumber do? I remember getting the yellow pages, that's when it was, and phoning plumbers, like the guys were on call like that, and the pub like, what is it? Like, mate, you doing any apprentices? Like, no, don't phone us back. Hanging up, I didn't have a clue. Within a year I was in jail, so I had no purpose or nothing. I didn't know what I was doing up until a few years ago. And it's like, you ever been lost? Like, I don't know if you've been out a jog or out a drive somewhere, you've been going to a certain destination, like, where am I? I don't know where I'm at. And then suddenly you saw like a wee street or a sign or a hedge, and you're like, I know where I'm at. I'm on my path home. Right. That's kind of what it felt like for me, and I think that's what it is when you find your sense of direction, because that's what it feels like in life. Like, it's like all the pieces, they don't even align. The first step just materialises in front of you. So a lot of people, when I hear people talk about, right, this is my goals, now I do have personal goals, but they're not the end point for me. For me, I just started with a step. I never had a step. I was just kind of getting dragged down this path, and then suddenly I found a step and I took it, and then I just took the next one after that, and that's just the kind of way I like to play it. Good. Right now, I've done ayahuasca and that kind of thing, and I saw some stuff. As time goes on, I'm beginning to understand some of it, and some of it I'm not really understanding it. It showed me like later on in life, and I've got an idea of where that takes me, but right now I can't justify it to really pursue it right now. I know as time goes on it'll make sense.
Showed you a positive thing?
Right. Aye. It showed me the kind of, because when I went to date, because I do so many different things, and I was like, am I following the right thing here? Should I be focusing on one and focusing on many? And it showed me basically I'm that kind of person that can do all these things, and it kind of showed me interconnected with Scotland. I love being Scottish, and I think our culture should be celebrated.
Nice.
And right now we're in a very powerful position, see, with social media and having a platform. Independent media is on the rise. It's risen, essentially. Like your mainstream media, and people don't really connect with it. If people are looking for a news source, they'll usually go to social media. I'm not saying it's always going to be,
especially younger generations. Like my dad wouldn't go on social media for it. He'd go to the fucking Sun or the Daily Record.
Exactly. And plus as well, we talk about YouTube. When's the last time you watched telly?
I know.
YouTube's telly, it's interactive television. You can look for what
to watch.
You can look for what you're watching, and see after you watch that, they'll suggest things that are similar to that.
Aye.
So creating a channel, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. For me, I remember Alex Hormozy. He's a very successful entrepreneur in America.
I read his book recently about marketing.
So he talks about it'll take you 5 years to discover what you're going to do, and for me, it's took me 5 years to kind of get to right, because as I say, I was kind of taking one step after the other. I wanted to make a career out of what I was doing, but what was I doing? Where was the direction? Now I've got my production company. I want to grow that. I want to be the biggest production company in the UK. I want to make films. I want to make documentaries. And I just want to kind of shine a light in Scottish culture and create a cultural identity. We've got a cultural identity, but it's kind of
establish it more.
Establish it, aye. Like the likes of, you go on Netflix, man, the amount of American TV shows, American this, American that. Then England are starting to follow suit. Even Ireland. But nah, Scotland, nobody's interested. And it annoys me. I watched a series about, it was in Corby. It was based on a true story. It was a drama on Netflix, and it was about, basically, it was a true story based on this case where in Corby, and it was during the 90s, these children were born and they had birth defects, like deformalities and that kind of thing, and they were managing to connect these birth defects to these kind of, basically it was like they were cleaning up all the old mines or something like that, and it was the dust. So basically it was about this court case, how it get exposed and that kind of thing. There were Scottish people in it, but they were just actors, because a lot of Scottish people went down to Corby.
My ma was born in Corby.
Well, yeah.
My ma, no me.
Your
my
ma
was born in Corby.
I was going to say that too. Small world, but so apparently during the industrial kind of era, a lot of people went down to Corby, so there was a lot of work down there. But apparently this case, so you're looking at that, it's a very, very niche part of history. Know what I mean? It's like a small case. But in Scotland, Braveheart. There's obviously other Scottish shows, but if you compare them, look at Scottish history, it's dripping. And Peter Mullen, I was at a film premiere, and Peter Mullen's talking about, it was a meeting with BBC Scotland executives, and they were talking about pitching ideas for shows, and he says, we don't want period dramas. And he's like, why? We've got a rich cultural history. And if you look at the likes of England, and I sound quite quite biased here in a sense, but it seems to be as if you'll have your argument with these arseholes in England, like, Scotland jocks you up there living in Kies, are you? And I'm not saying every English person's like that, but that's the kind of, when I see that comment, that's the accent I put on in my head. But the thing is, it's like we've got a lot to offer the world, but I feel as if people are reluctant to shine a light on it. Cause
Aye. Why though? I think it's maybe we're not proud within ourselves. See, I say this a lot of time, right? Growing up in Glasgow, I don't know if this is the rest of Scotland, half the cunts think they're English, another half think they're Irish. How many people actually say they're Scottish?
I know.
I'm talking about Celtic Rangers and Catholic and Protestant. That's a big mad thing. Where's the Scottish identity? You go to Edinburgh, I went to the rugby, I watched the rugby with my wife the other day, and fucking it was jumping, man, it was dead, you felt dead amazing about it. And then I came back, I wore a kilt to my last fight and came into the Bonnie Banks Lot Lomond. The Bonnie Banks Lot Lomond is like a mad song about two Scottish warriors that are going to die. Sounds like a nursery rhyme, right? Two Scottish warriors are going to die. One of them says, you're going to walk him and I'm going to go through the spirit realm because I'm going to go meet my death here. See, like my dad taught me that when I was a wee boy. I'm going to teach my son that. We need to kind of show the youth as well like how important it is to be Scottish. We need to be a fucking independent country, right? I don't know what the fuck happened. We need to be an independent country. I was in Spain, so I'm talking a new Scottish Glaswegian, right? I was not talking like this in Spain. I had this mad Ponce Americanised accent because nobody understood me. And see if I spoke this way, the conversation would have took half an hour because I took 2 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I'm in about a lot of English people now. Some of them are cool now, but some of them were saying like mad, shitty fucking jokes about the accent and this. And to be honest with you, it's subtle racism. I don't know, is it just accepted to say that to a Scottish person? Do you know what I mean? I'm not racist to anybody. I'm very unracist to everybody, right? I'm very culturally accepted to the world. I think it's fair to, I don't know what I say it too cheeky here, but I think a lot of the English people think there's a superiority to them rather than us. And that's maybe why the BBC, when they wanted period dramas, because it was maybe show them in a bad light to fucking the history that they put us through. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But you said about creativity in Scotland, I'm passionate about fucking making Scotland a strong nation. Like, the meaning of life is to find out your gift. And the purpose of life is to give that gift to the world. Pablo Picasso said that. So it took me a long time to find out what my purpose is, right? I know my gift was, it was fighting. My purpose, I think, is at 38-year-old to continue fighting and show how courageous I am. Because maybe somebody will go, when they know my story, he was in jail, he done this, now he's fighting in a top show, maybe I can do that, right? But when I went to Mecca the other day, I had this mad thing about Scotland. It was weird, because I don't know if I want to stay in Dubai or Spain. I've always moved about. I had this mad thing about Scotland, and then I had this thing about like the future of Scotland. So when I left, mate, it took me about 4 days to articulate this in my head. And when I left, when I grew up, I went to a boxing gym in Denison, in East End of Glasgow. I went to the Phoenix and then the Denison, and you paid 50 pence, and sometimes you didn't really need a 50 pay. And the coaches there, John McNair, Johnny Mallon, Jamie Cunningham, Lee Monroe, they didn't get money for this, and they fucking guided us through adulthood, to teenagehood. Do you know what I'm saying? This goes through my whole story, what I'm trying to say. So I'm trying to replicate that. How many disadvantaged children out there, mums and dads, can't afford £60 month membership for a gym, or £100 for gloves, or whatever? So part of my Scottish thing is that I want to make the Fortified Future. It's a charity, and I've just set it up yesterday, and a lot of people have started to back us. So I want to get children. I want to make children fight again, teach them martial arts, teach them discipline, teach them self-respect, teach them confidence. And then every session they go to, it's free. I'm going to get them gloves, I'm going to get them pads, I'm going to get them a shirt to wear, so they don't stone out with who's got better clothes than each other. Give them on coaching for the full time that they're there. They've always got coaching for the 3 sessions a week or 5 sessions a week, whatever. And a nutritious meal for every session. And that's my wee kind of thing. That's my purpose. That's what I've kind of found out. So I'm asking you what your purpose is a minute ago. You say you want to create. I think my purpose is helping maybe the future generations become stronger, learning that martial arts thing. Because you see, I'm passionate about it. People need to fight. And I think that impacts Scotland, mate. You know what I mean?
Definitely does. And for all you know, you could be creating the next fighting superstar in Scotland for what you're doing. And obviously that isn't, well, I say it's no, I was going to say it's not the intention. It's not the sole intention, but it is a part of the intention where you are creating something. You're giving that opportunity. Like the likes of myself, when I talk about my story, I kind of touched on previously, knowing this, like in my thoughts, where I wanted to kind of take this type of thing into school. Let's see, taking like introducing to content creation or podcasting or something. Thinking like when I was leaving school, I had no idea what I wanted to do and ended up in jail quite quickly. So this is giving somebody an insight. And plus as well, I used to, and this isn't a slight on anybody, see when I seen anybody doing what I'm doing and say, you're thinking, right, they're doing really well with it. They were doing this, but they had a full-time job doing something completely different. And that always kind of saddened me in a sense where, is there no way to do this as your full-time job? So now I've managed to do it. I'm kind of like, right, I want to kind of open up the scope so people can pursue that. Because say for talk's sake, I'm talking about enhancing Scotland's creative identity, right? But by doing that, am I going to be the only person to do it? Or what if I show a large number of people how to do it?
Start a fire.
And then it starts a fire. And I think that's the way to do it, if I can do that. So it's passing on. And I think when you realise you're living your purpose, like I can sit in here for 12 hours. I remember I sat in here one night. I started at 7 in the morning and stopped at 2 in the morning. Editing, I was working on my documentary. You would have never have got me doing that in any job, mate. You were lucky if you got a half an hour's work out of me, never mind half a day. But that's when I realised, like, wait a minute, I've just got energy for this. And you notice it yourself, there's just that energy. It comes from somewhere. It just fills you. And I feel as well, do you feel that, see, when you're helping others doing that, do you feel you get more energised by doing that?
Mate, see, when and it's no fighting. I'm not a fight coach. Just I think a lot of people, see, you said that yourself. I'm not a fight coach, man. I don't want to. A lot of the people that work with me don't want to be fighters. They want to just be mentally fortified, and this is how I articulate the thing. Mate, see, I'll tell you an example. There's one client that messaged me after my fight in PFL and says a big long message, because I got all these mad life long messages. Everybody tells me my life story, right? But this one was quite interesting. He's saying to me, I'm going to give you 10 grand if you win your fight. So I messaged him the next morning and says, mate, I already fought. What are you talking about? He says, all right, cool, sorry, I was on it last night. Mate, I'm in a rough place and all that. And I says, right, cool, come and meet me. So he's come in, heavily addicted to drugs, family problems, health problems, all these things, all these terrible things. And I started saying, right, come train with me. And I'm going to do this. Only boxing, right? This is why I'm going to get into this, right? So he's coming in doing 2 sessions of boxing a week. Then I set up this Sunday group that I'd get people to get them after drinking drugs. We go Sunday hill walks and cold water dips. So this boy was coming with us all the time. That was in October. Now, last week, he was in this horrible toxic relationship with his ex. He's fell out with his ex. He wasn't seeing his Wayne. Sees the Wayne all the time now. He's lost a lot of weight. Doesn't take drink. Doesn't take drugs. Went and got a new house. He's got a wee bit of money. Mate, see the difference in this kid? Like, for just boxing. But it's not just the boxing. It's when I'm talking to him, I'm saying, like, my day in the session, I'm saying, like, how are you going on with the missus? Like, how can you sort this? And I've been saying things to him, like, day the gratitude, day the whatever I'm trying to tell him today. It's relative to him. And see me seeing him the other day and inviting me up to his fucking new house and all that, I'm fucking pure happy. He's actually my good mate now. So it's funny enough. So that for me gives me, like, even talking about it, I feel so happy about it. You know what I mean? I feel so blessed that I've been able to kind of half impact him a wee bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's like we talk about ripple effects, and usually you hear a ripple effect like in a negative connotation. Like if you do negative stuff, you affect your family, you affect the justice system, the social system, etc. But once you start doing the right stuff, the positive ripple effects, as you say, the families start to trust you, the kids back in your life, you've suddenly got the big house, you've got money in your pocket. It's in watching that, as much as everybody's a hero in their own story, but being there just to witness that and going like that, right, wait a minute, all I did is kind of guide him on the path. And of course he has done the hard work, because it's no easy. It's one we can lead a horse to water, as that famous old saying goes, but you can't force him to drink it. But being a bridge for that, and going like that, and because you think to yourself, if we look at personal ambitions are great, and if your personal ambition is to make X amount of money so you can buy this house and more, it's all personal achievements. It only takes you so far. But you're like I said, you've done that. That's not just helped him; it's helped his family. It's helped his missus and all that kind of. It's all you think of how many, and his family, and you think of like ma, dad, whatever it's in his life, even his relations and his co-workers, with his pals and that, everything just gets better, and you think, look at how far that simple act spread.
Aye. You're changing the world in a small, tiny wee bit.
That's
Same
exactly
with you, you're changing the world in a small, wee tiny bit. We don't need to be fucking mad. The ego thing, let's be a world champion, Brian, so you can be this. No, I'm going to go and have a few wee fights all over the world, fighting good shows. Like, all these great opportunities are coming for me. And just as good, it's a personal journey, and I'm helping people. Like that guy wouldn't have came to me if he never seen that I was out fighting, because I'm showing my courage in the world. Do you know what I'm saying? Same with all my other clients. And aye, mate, that's purposeful for me. I'm so happy, but you said that ripple effect thing. I'm so happy that guy's now on an upward spiral. Because you go on a downward spiral, drink, drugs, fucking go right down the pipe, didn't you? But he started just impacting me things at himself, seeing his family. I was, don't want to get too into the story, but he thought he was going to end up with his ex and never. Do you know what I mean? He thought he was trying to work hard to get back with the ex, and then the relationship wasn't well. So I was saying to him, right, you need to go and ride something, mate. You need to go on Tinder and get a hot air bird and all that. He's like, no, can they? And then he's came in the gym, big smile on his face. He's like, fucking shagging me last night and all that. And I was like, but
one of their conjugal visits.
Conjugal visits. And it's like, I'm doing that for my life experience. Because I've had a bit of a storied life, you know what I mean? I know I've went to fell out with my missus and I had to go through all that mad shit. And if I can help people with the things, it's good, you know what I mean? But aye, it's purposeful, man. That's purposeful. The charity for me is going to be purposeful, because it's actually impacting all the life lessons I've got, and maybe getting people like yourself or my wee brother or Mikey and all these kind of people to kind of help out as well. Like, not just me fucking doing it myself. Maybe grow it in other cities. Maybe grow it in fucking war-torn countries. I'd love to help people in Gaza, because they've got fuck all right now. That's kind of my motivation with that there. But Scotland, Glasgow, Scotland is like, I want Scotland to be a stronger, more proud nation again. If I can impact that a small wee tiny bit, I'm going to try my hardest. Same as you in the media.
I can see when we talk about the ripple effects as well, because you look at those ripple effects which attach on to society. Because if you're looking at people that are re-establishing their self-esteem, you're leading them away from drugs. There you're taking away the drug problem. You've got less people that are about to use drugs. You're taking away the impact on the court system, because less people are using drugs and committing crime. For instance, had I still been using drugs and drinking, I'd probably be back in the jail, because it took me a long time to realise that my custodial sentences were interconnected to drugs. Not so much possession or nothing like that, but being mad, waiting for it and doing stuff I would never do. So realising that, and how far a solution can stretch by just one simple act. I read somewhere, and I'm going to butcher the phrase, so I'll paraphrase it, that it's when you die, it's not about what you got. You can't take that away. It's about what you gave.
That's nice.
It's about giving, man.
That's really nice. That's really nice. That's kind of what made me fall into Islam. That kind of similar thing. It's so we come from Allah and we'll return to Allah. So basically, we come from this creative energy source, and then we've got an 80, 70, 60, 80-year-old life to go through. And we need to live that life knowing that we're going to meet that creator at the end of it. And we need to live that life also knowing that we need to impress upon that creator that we've lived a purposeful life, a meaningful life, a good life or whatever. And it's not about chasing money and that, is it no? Because that's not purposeful, mate. Like, chasing money is not purposeful. Unless you're fucking doing it to help charitable people and all that, but only chasing money is not purposeful. There's got to be an end to it. Like, I can chase money all I want, but if I'm not helping people, or I'm not helping my family, or I'm not helping like the society or whatever, I'm not really doing what God's brought me here for. Do you know what I mean? I think that kind of similar thing.
Aye, and realising that thing, as it goes back to what I was saying about that the individual achievements are nothing in comparison to what you can do for the greater good.
Aye.
And plus as well, it charges you, it recharges you, and it fuels you, man. And seeing that, like, so I was out with the streets, I was just doing a bit of filming for my documentary with them, but seeing them just out helping people on the street and that kind of thing, I felt it makes you feel human that way. I was dead shut off in my emotions for a lot of my life, but came home I felt emotional.
Brilliant.
In the past few years I've started to feel moments when I'm emotional, and that's one thing it was like a surprise. It was kind of, wow, what's going on here, because I'm not used to feeling like this. I'm actually feeling human again, It does. It connects us all.
Can you reveal what the documentary's about? Because I'm interested.
Addiction.
Right.
The drug addiction. So it's in the final stages of completion. So it's basically humanising addiction, helping people understand it. So I think it's quite a powerful piece. I sent a rough draft to a few people. As I say, I was preparing to send off for that portfolio. I sent the boy I'm doing it with, Sean Toll, does social sessions. They loved it. He said it was quite powerful, man. So I'm looking forward to it coming out.
Nice. I'm looking forward to seeing that, man. I'm really looking forward to seeing
That nice wee plug there. There you go.
Aye, good on you.
Aye. But mate, it's been a fantastic podcast.
I've loved it, mate.
I think you're going for another 2
No,
hours.
definitely, mate. That's the best podcast I've done, mate. Thanks.
That's brilliant, mate. But I'm probably going to wind that down, man. But see if you could just, if anybody wants to donate to Fortified Fitness.
Sorry, donate.
Fortified Future, sorry.
Fortified Future. So if you go into, I'm going to obviously market it in different places, but if you go into my Instagram at Brian Hyslop, I've got a GoFundMe on the bio. Help as much as you can, and obviously in my page and my social media I'm going to document what I'm doing and how it grows. So if any of you want to help, guys, send me a DM. Let's go.
Right, nice one. And where can people follow you if they want to get you on social media?
At Brian Hyslop, Brian with an I, Hyslop with a Y, on Instagram, YouTube, and that's it.
Fantastic, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Cheers,
having
mate.
you on,
Thanks
man.
very much, bro.
Brian Hyslop, people, like, subscribe and don't get away. Catchies.